Well,
Because
Sam, do I have to stay for first?
wherever they can stay.
okay.
Does he have to stay though?
No, just because of the error in the resolution.
No, I wasn't planning on that. It wasn't on your original.
Right.
No, we're just going to have to, get the resolution passed properly with the correct language. Trying to wait for my but I don't know if I can. She's going to do it. She's got one more minute. I'd like to call the order of Schenectady City Council Committee meeting for Monday, December 1st, 2025. The first committee is City Development and Planning. There are 5 items on the agenda. The first one is property transaction required for J Street Connector DRI project. Mr. Wallen?
As laid out in the background information, this is a DRI-related project, the J Street Connector. J Street Connector is a new public roadway that will connect the South Avenue J Street, Little Italy District with Knott Street through an area that's called College Park, primarily owned by Union College. In order to assemble the right-of-way for it, we are going to require several parcels, 6 to be exact, 4 belonging to the trustees of Union College and 2 belonging to the Stockade Self-Serve Car Wash. In your packet, you will see an overall map of the area as well as the 6 taking maps that are required for the right-of-way. So with these, so why we're calling it a property transaction is, what we're looking to do is authorize the Corporation Counsel and the Mayor's Office to enter into the agreements with Union College trustees and with the Stockade Car Wash to look at the transactions. So the first transactions with Union College would require the 4 parcels in exchange for Roger Hole Place. Roger Hole Place previously was a call for public hearing to abandon Roger Hole Place. However, no action was taken after that call for public hearing, as there was a desire to do all these things at one time. We did not have any, I believe, responders or any speakers to the call to abandon Roger Hole Place. And then with regards to the Colonial Car Wash, the property owner is looking to essentially sell that property to the city that's necessary for $1.
Okay.
And this is one LR. However, I was working with the law office. This will be put together into different resolutions as it goes. It won't be one resolution, as this is several transactions that would occur with different property owners.
Okay. Any questions or concerns? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Wallen.
Thank you.
Next is zoning of battery energy storage systems. You're coming from Ms. Carver?
Yes.
All right.
So I believe the matter of the battery energy storage systems has gone previously to the council. At our November meeting, the planning commission recommended on how to properly zone these going forward. So there's 2 sections of the zoning code that are going to be altered as a result of this. The first being just 264-2, which is the definition section. We'd be defining these battery energy storage systems. The definition that we came up with mirrors NYSERDA's definitions. NYSERDA is the state agency that's rolling this out. They sent out the mock legislation, the mock permitting. So we mirrored our definition up after theirs. And then the second piece of the zoning code that would be changing is Schedule B, which is the allowable uses. So the Tier 2 systems, which are the more commercial, industrial systems, would be in that table, subject to a special use permit by the Planning Commission. Both would be needing electrical permits, building permits from the Codes Department, but those Tier 2 systems would need an additional planning commission approval as well in this select districts, which are C5 and then the industrial M1 and M2 districts.
All right. Since this is going to be a change to the city code, we're going to be needing to call a public hearing on this?
Yep.
Okay. So this time you're asking us to call for the public hearing on changing these codes?
Correct.
Are there any questions?
I'll move that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 3 is the rezoning of Maxim Road extension parcels. It's yours as well?
That is mine as well. So at the same meeting, the planning commission recommended the rezoning of these 4 parcels. These are right along Maxim Road extension, right after that warehouse that by Freeman's Bridge. All of these parcels originally were M1 light industrial and warehousing district. When the Harborside area was developed and the casino was made, the C3 zoning was extended to these parcels. They've sat vacant for 8 years, not at fault of the owner. They've tried to bring in uses that are allowable in the C3 districts, but there's a very narrow geometry over there. It's right next to the railroads as well, which is limited development. So they have an investor in place who's willing to do items that are allowed in M1 but not in C3. They've indicated that they would be willing to get a use variance from the zoning board should this not go through for whatever reason. But after meeting with our zoning officer, city engineer, and Paul Lafon from General Services, we determined that the zoning change made the most sense just for those parcels.
So they initially were M1, we changed it for whatever reason, and now it makes more sense to go back?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the bike path right up front, the river in the back. There's also a 30-foot sewer easement that's adjacent to the river. So one of the potential uses that would be allowed with M1 that's not with C3 are self-storage warehousing, which is easy for people to pick up. They don't have to be cemented to the ground. Those would not be currently allowed. As I mentioned, there was other applications that came through to develop the parcel. None of them were feasible due to the constraints of the property.
Okay.
There's an additional property as well that was not put in the initial rezoning application by the applicant. It's further north connected to these parcels. It's where the railroad actually sits going across the river into Glenville. That was not put in the original application. It's also C3. I don't foresee that ever getting developed due to the fact that it is essentially all railroad. But it would be recommended to put that in M1 as well, just for the sake of consistency.
So are all the parcels that you're talking about, including the one that you just mentioned that wasn't originally, are they listed in here, or is it one?
The last one is .112. That's the tax parcel number. That was not in the original application.
And what's the total parcels?
There's four total parcels from that the applicant owns. The .112 with the railroad would be a 5th parcel.
So it's not in your LR, .112?
Correct.
It's not in there?
Correct.
Any questions, concerns regarding this?
I'll move it.
Second.
And we're just going to be adding the other parcel to this that he mentioned?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Send that along.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry.
This is for public.
Yes, we did, it's a call for a public hearing.
Okay.
Item number 4 is a letter of support for the Riverside Skate Park funding. Mr. Williams.
Thank you. So excited to have this discussion here. Definitely skateboarding has been an emerging activity throughout the city. I think at this point it's just trying to identify an appropriate way to bring some of those areas that have been unofficially designated for this use by the community up to code. So excited to have the opportunity to meet with some of the prominent individuals outspoken in favor of that. And then also you see in the agenda is a letter of support from the Stockade Neighborhood Association. I'm excited to announce that just preliminary discussions with Assemblyman Santa Barbara, who is often a good face and steward to Schenectady and its interest. was in favor of identifying some funding sources to ensure that the park would be brought up to code, which to my understanding would address some of the liability issues and concerns. And I think what I want to just plainly identify is that skateboarding adds life to the city and this community, which has been highlighted in this letter of support from the neighborhood. It just brings use to distressed areas, which has existed in the Riverside Park and that designated area for years. It should be encouraged. And I think you noticed throughout the state, there have been a lot of municipalities that have brought into the understanding of this only benefits just social and just recreational uses for not just youth, but individuals of any age. And also what I wanted to identify is I don't think the issue is that these activities are skateboarding in addition to some of our younger audiences that are biking in large crowds. I don't think there's an issue with these activities existing. I think there's an issue with our lack of responding and providing appropriate venues for them to perform these activities in. So with respect to Riverside Park, I think formally labeling it as a skate park requires a lot of other efforts, primarily which is funding, because once you start to look at the integrity of the park as it stands, there needs to be just some considerations for bringing some areas up to code, which is not missed by myself, but those cost money. And I think if you're listening to this for the first time and asking why is this important discussion at the present time, it's that these sort of efforts help to curtail the cost of public safety and help to provide just appropriate uses for our community to further just identify ourselves as a progressive city that's looking to adopt these types of activities. So at this present time, someone mentioned Barbara before he was looking to put in place a funding request, wanted to make sure that this was an effort that was supported by the community. So he's looking for a letter of support so that he can undergo his efforts, which I imagine will be beneficial for the city.
Yes, Ms. Becker.
The mayor and I both have met with groups that were interested in having the skateboard park since I've been on council. We've faced, well, there's a few things. I wonder if our parks director has been a part of the discussions that you've been having. One complaint that we got was that there were people in the Stockade Association who live near where the skateboard park, the skate park would be, who were not in favor of having the skate park. And then there were people in the Stockade Association who lived like on the other side of the stockade who were like, hey, this would be fine, go ahead and have the skate park. So I'm wondering, has Mr. Mazeka been involved in these conversations? Because we didn't have a parks director when the mayor and I were first having these conversations with the group. Many of whom, surprising, although I should have realized it, weren't young people. They're adults who obviously grew up skateboarding, but now are in their late 40s. So the group that we met with was older people, but it made sense. When I went home, I was kind of thinking, yeah, that makes sense to me. My son was a skateboarder when he was a kid also. We had a lot of issues around the liability to the city in terms of accidents. So I'm just raising these issues that all have been discussed previously as part of health and recreation. So I was just wondering, are you sure that the entire Stockade Association is in favor of this? And has Mr. Mazeka been involved in these discussions as our parks director?
So I'd say myself, I've been to a Stockade Neighborhood Association meeting discussing this topic at length. I have a considerable amount of notes. I would say to expect this to be well received by anyone in the Stockade is far-fetched to say the least. I think this letter respects that having this, there are more individuals in support of that than not. I would say in my discussions, which have included Mr. Mazeka, part of the concerns was just a lack of latrines or just bathroom spaces there, and quickly he identified that they can bring a porta potty in the spring, which would address one of the concerns. So I think the hesitancy has been because of the perceived liability concerns. There's been almost, we're not even going to touch this issue. Everything that I've researched on, because these exist under municipalities throughout the state, it can happen. Part of that understanding is the park has to be brought up to code. And I think within New York State, there's assumed liability. I'm not an attorney, but I did make sure I didn't blindside Ms. Barash and that this is more of her wheelhouse. However, to say that we can't do this is a cop-out and it's incorrect. I think it's how do we do it and how do we ensure
Yeah, I'm
that
not
this
saying we
is...
can't.
No, I'm not saying that, but I think a lot of people kind of run to liability as a way to kind of full stop, I'm not going to have this conversation, can't have this conversation. And I just wanted to identify that even our close neighborhood city of Albany, they have two. So it's a possibility.
Has a bunch too. Yeah, we had offered alternative sites when we last came to the group, but,
I would say,
so I'm glad to hear that Mr. Mazeka was involved in the conversation, so.
however, there needs to be a very close consideration of the fact that to involve Mr. Maseka or Mr. Wallen before we even have this discussion of whether we want it to exist here, that prompts some responses from the city, and I think I want to be considerate of what's been done and make sure that we move forward in the right manner, if that makes sense.
Mr. Toro?
Thank you. As far as liability, I mean, our parks are all liabilities. I mean, so I think this liability is the fact that all of us have visited there, and I don't believe it's safe. There's a lot of... So by it continuing to be there is a huge liability to us. If Mr. Santa Barbara, Assemblyman, can come up with some funding, and I think everyone in the stockade, including East Front Street Stockade Association, we can all agree upon some place for this. I think it's a great idea. Let's see what someone comes up with.
Yeah. Mr. Williams?
Just to be clear, I've had intentional conversations with the skateboarding community and the neighborhood association. There is no interest in moving, and I think that was consideration when we informally discussed this at the council like a few years ago about it being moved to like an underpass or to another area in the city. Very much this is a recreational activity that's embraced by more individuals within that neighborhood than not. And I think if we can provide some funding to address some of the glaring concerns, and then also just to have some intentional conversations, which I've been trying to bridge. We are in the holiday season, but open to making sure that the skateboarders feel like they're accepted and heard and acknowledged by the neighborhood association and vice versa. Because I only think positives come from just collaboration.
Mr. Farley?
Yeah, so I was going to think about, that group came down and not only did we go visit them, but they came down here and they spoke to us, and they actually came to the rail as well. They had some representatives coming to the rail. And it seemed like, the issue again was, if I remember correctly, our concern was the condition of it as in its current condition was not safe, which it seems like is, something that we all can agree on. So if we can make this a safe thing, because there's already been a considerable amount of community investment to create what it is now, and there's been a lot of investment in time. And I remember going there were some younger people that were there actually taking lessons. So this is already, I would say, somewhat organized without really any institutional support from the city on that. And I think that would definitely, that's something that we should do. And it's also similar because like you see skate parks, popping up nationwide, but if you look at it, there's also like a parallel kind of rise in interest right now to what we see like as pickleball. And you saw pickleball is widely accepted and into communities, and there's a level of a lot less concerns around the pickleball community, and I think that is really rooted in the fact that there's usually a more there's some generational between what our skaters and kind of our pickleball community. But I would just think we want to be mindful not to be equitable in our approach and understand that we want to make sure that everyone's shouldn't have to have a certain level of like social political capital in order to engage in these recreational activities. So I think that we should definitely be giving them the same amount of consideration as we would like pickleball, something else like that.
And we've discussed this like multiple times and trying to figure out how to do it. It's clear that it's a desire by certain members of the community. Mr. Williams has, continued to work on this, and I think that we all have met. I know that Mr. Turl did, I know that I did with Mr. Maseka. I know that all of us had varying conversations. Would have been ideal to have them together. However, we all know that there's an interest in having this done. Mr. Williams has gone and moved forward in terms of identifying funding that could conceivably make what's now very makeshift into something that is a real escape park. It's not going to go away, neither do I want to. People are interested, so I think it's better for us to invest in creating a space that's safer and more user-friendly, because they're going to do it anyway. They put it together. They just decided this is, we've claimed this and this is ours. So I think working with a group that's already organized and looking forward to doing something properly and making it a part of this, all the various facilities that we have, making it a part of a Schenectady facility that makes sense is what we should move forward with. And so I'm very supportive of us supporting the funding.
So I was wondering, again, when we last spoke with the group, which is a while ago, I'll admit that, the estimate that they gave us was $1 million to actually create the, and this came from the skateboarders themselves, if I'm remembering correctly, it was around $1 million.
It's widely variant numbers, some cheaper to some that we're not going to be able to do.
Right, so I was just wondering if Assembly Member Santa Barbara has mentioned a figure that he would provide.
He has. I feel uncomfortable disclosing that. I can tell you it's nowhere close to $1 million. I think in understanding what the minimum necessary renovations are needed, most of which surround just a blacktop surface, I think everything else can just be as needed to grow from that. I think as of now, we just need to have the entire area just revamped. There's a lot of just jagged, makeshift areas which are appealing to that community. I can tell you as a orthopedic practice manager, I know Ortho New York is probably very excited for that to be in its current condition. But with all sincerity, I think from an elected official, it is truly a testament to just some higher power that there has not been a major accident or injury there, and we cannot continue to function with this hope moving forward. So I think any dollar figure that we can get, we can stretch that to start the conversation. And I definitely think that this has only the opportunities to grow from there on. But very much, I think whenever you hear of inaugural anything, I think skating has been just an emerging activity, and to know that Schenectady can be on the forefront of embracing that just only makes me more excited about the future of our city.
So, and I think that we should, we got to start somewhere. We can keep kicking the can down the road, waiting for this, it's, getting rid of the good and waiting for the perfect. It's never going to be perfect. So I think that we need to, at least if we're showing that we support it and that there's funding that can support it, that actually can attract other funding. But I believe we need to move forward with this. This is the closest we've been to even being able to put together something in terms of moving forward with this project. Mr. Farley, Mr. Moody Baron.
So I was going to say, this is probably an opportunity for us to work with that skateboarding community, because I remember in the conversations, on the initial conversations that we had, they weren't opposed to trying to assist in raising some funds for themselves. I would be mindful not to put this on them, because when we do other projects, we don't solely depend on, or give other interested parties, that level of, responsibility to make it happen. But I think that this is a really good really good opportunity to work with them around maybe some fundraising to support the project. Obviously, with if Santa Barbara has some interest in supporting it, I think that we can kind of we could build some momentum around it. But I think this is a good opportunity not to miss, to just kind of not fight for our limitations with this, see what we can do.
Mr. Moody Baron.
Yeah, thank you. This is just a support level, seeking funding. And if I can recall, the governor is very supportive of Parks program, to fund the Park program throughout the state. So this might be a good opportunity to tap into this, and to maybe we're lucky that this can be funded through the state. The other part, in terms of liability, like any other group, we require, the city require them to provide insurance to take on that responsibility if God forbid something happened. So we can apply this for this very same group. They're using the park, they will have to have insurance coverage to take the city, take the liability away from the city. So we should proceed with the support letter, hopefully to get the funding. When all of that come into place, then the insurance can come into play, that this group take full responsibility away from the city. And that happened across all groups, all sports group and leagues.
Yeah.
If you have some
Yeah,
more to make for a motion.
just a question for that. Because I hear what you're saying, and I agree, especially if we're like looking at like this, like a uniform, like a agency or organization that's using the park for the purpose. So like, but I don't think I guess my wondering is, we wouldn't have people in the park carry, any insurance for liability if it's somebody who just, the same way someone would go play at, one of our parks here, do something. But like if an organization, or like they wanted to do skateboard lessons or a skateboard tournament or something like that, then they would be responsible, right? That's what we're saying? I'm just trying to, yeah, okay.
Well, if I may, well, we can also factor in user agreement. User agreement if that's possible at that point in time. So we'll see how we can do that. So we can have league, we have user agreement, take their responsibility away. Because this group has been since during ARPA. They had submitted application.
Yeah.
They were reviewed. They didn't receive funding. We wanted to put them on the 890. We were all over the place. We were trying to house them all over the city, and it didn't happen. And here they are again, trying to seek funding from the state. A support letter wouldn't hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have anything more, Mr.
Yes, it'd be to add to those individuals who aren't in support of this. I don't want this to read as though you're going to like it, you're going to love it, and you have no opinion on it. I think my understanding and philosophy has always been to turn an end to the current. So I think to not embrace this and not acknowledge this as a vibrant resource or activity would be a disservice, not to just this activity, but just to what Schenectady represents to a lot of our residents. What I say to those individuals that are leery of this is, if we can structure it, if we can provide some funding, I think this could help address some of the lived just angst that's been happening over the past few months.
In that case, I'll entertain a motion to give support to a letter of support for the funding request.
So,
Second.
All's in favor?
aye.
Thank you. And the final item under City Development and Planning is a discussion of the bulk trash sticker program, which I brought up several times throughout the year, a few weeks ago. I'm like, this year in the budget for 2026, we put in $25,000 as the revenue, which probably doesn't cover the cost of doing the work, whether it's staffing, ordering the stickers, etc. Every conversation that we've had so far at this table has indicated that it's not a program that's done well, rolled out well, going well. And I'll say again that I see more bulk items of furniture and various things just all around the city in front of properties where nobody lives or in front of vacant lots. So I really think that it's something that it needs to be revisited, and I recommend taking the revenue out of the budget, because we're spending, and going back to what we normally did, is just pick up everything and then figuring out a way to handle bulk items. We increased the waste in this upcoming budget. There is an increase in there. And again, the cost of the revenue that's projected is not even covering the cost of the sticker program. So that is what I think we should revisit that and really consider. Is it cost effective, and why are we doing it? Because it doesn't seem to be working. Mr. Mutuvera.
Yeah, when we first discussed this a couple of weeks ago, Mayor McCarthy, we held off of this for a couple of weeks. You were going to put a presentation together with regards to this. If I'm correct, that was one of the reasons why we held off on this, not discussing.
Well, I had it set up a number of places, and Council President took it off the agenda. Now, I have not added it again because it requires lining up people at the University of Albany, a number of players to come in and do the presentation. And we were also going to do that in conjunction with the village trustees from Scotia, where we also pick up the garbage and make that a package so that not only work in the city of Schenectady, but be applicable in the village of Scotia. So if you want to pick a date, I'll reach out and get that scheduled, but take a couple weeks lead time.
Yeah, I think that was the reason why we held off on it from further discussion to kind of receive that presentation, and then we move forward in terms of what do we do about this program, because it's no secret. We have heard many complaints from almost every doorstep.
Yes. And we did at the last meeting ask that the presentation be done. And just for clarification's sake, the request to have it put on the agenda came after the agenda. After we had our agenda meeting, it was a very last minute thing to be put on there. And just was a request sent from the Director of Operations. There was no attendance at the legislative conference or anything, simply a LR that came afterwards. So we'd already set the agenda and I had no background. There was no indication that anybody was, the length of what had gone through to set it up. And clearly, if that many people were put into place and going to be here, then that had been set up much earlier and could have been part of the legislative conference and a legislative request sent in a timely fashion. That did not happen. So it did not get on the agenda. So just to be clear of the circumstances around how it happened. And now the mayor's seeing now that he needs lead time. So if he needed lead time now, I would assume that there needed lead time before, and this could have been presented in a timely manner, and it was not. So that is why it did not get on the agenda. The last time we spoke, said bring it back, and we were willing to entertain it. So here we are today.
Can I have a follow-up?
Certainly.
So can we work, if I may ask, can we work to get this on the agenda next 2 weeks and have the presentation?
The holiday season may create some conflicts in people's schedules, but if you give me a date that you want it, then I'll reach out to see if we can put it together.
The next committee meeting?
Okay.
That's right. Mr. Farley.
So because initially when we rolled this out, I did think initially there was going to be a longer kind of, educational piece to this, and that didn't last as long as I'd hoped for. And I remember, I just felt like we went to like the enforcement piece of this a little too soon. And conversations with a prior council member, they brought to my attention that part of the increase in fees for trash a while ago, when they had a public hearing and people were concerned about it, one of the things was people were told that, like, hey, well, okay, your fees are going up, but whatever you put out there, we're going to come take. We'll take it. We'll take it. So in other words, that was supposed, was the justification of the value that you'd be getting for the fees increase. So obviously I wasn't on council when those conversations happened, but I just think it's something that we want to consider in our conversations moving forward. But I would suggest until we have the presentation, until all the conversations are had, that we pause on this program like now. I think that right now you have your holidays. People are going to be throwing a lot of stuff out. But I just don't think that it's right that we have some level of expectation for the people to comply with this if we know ourselves and are saying to ourselves pretty openly that it's not efficient and not working. So I'd like to see, us put a pause on this now until we have that presentation and maybe more information can be gathered, because right now it's just not working. So if we know it's not working, we don't have to have the next best answer to just stop what we're doing right now if we all know that it's not working.
Ms. Barrage, if that's what the direction that the council wants to go in, what would we need to do in order to pause it until we come up with a solution that seems to be working?
Let me go look into that, and I can come back down in a few minutes. I gotta go look. So you can continue the meeting and we can revisit it in 10 minutes.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that you might want to be here for, or...
Yeah, I'll be back. I need to be here for item number 5 on finance.
Okay, so in that case, we will recess city development and planning, and then when Ms. Barrage comes back, we'll call to order. Motion to recess.
So,
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'd like to call to order public safety. We have 2 items on the agenda tonight. First of which, the 2025 emergency vehicle uplift request for proposal. Lieutenant Baldwin.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Lieutenant Bogwich with Schenectady Police Department. We are looking to put in and have accepted a request for a proposal from, we put out a bid for our vehicle upfits. The other day, we had 2 bidders. One was local, one was not. Preference goes to the local one, plus the non-local one. It was out of state. They failed to meet some of the requirements by putting in the deposit. So they were disqualified for that anyways. Auto Solutions was the successful, the winning bidder for this. So I'm just looking to put this in and have their proposal accepted. There is no matching funds.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I'll move it.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda tonight is a call for public hearing, changing Front Street to a one-way. This is just administrative adjustment that we need to make.
Right.
So unless there are any questions or
Well,
comments.
let's just be clear that everybody knows what it is.
Council President, do you want
Sure. So Ms. Barrage has left, but what happened at the council meeting on Monday is we passed a resolution. Ms. DeToro brought it to our attention after it was passed that there was a error in the language in the resolution. It mentioned a traffic study on Chrysler Avenue that had nothing to do with this. So we could not, so therefore we passed the incorrect legislation. It wasn't brought up from the floor where we corrected it, that didn't, so we passed it out of committee correctly. However, the resolution itself contained language that was incorrect. So what we're going to have to do is to pass it incorrectly. That's going to push the public hearing down the road a little bit, but there is no other way to correct it at this point in time. So just wanted to bring it back, let the council know why they're seeing it again, even though we did pass that legislation. The legislation that was created in the law department contained some language that was not applicable to this particular call for a public hearing. Mr. Mutudari.
So we
I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was looking.
Yes, you are.
Um,
It's okay.
So we're going to need to rescind that resolution that was passed.
Okay.
Yes. So we'll have to get a motion to rescind that resolution
And then
move forward with this resolution.
Okay. May I have a motion to rescind the previous resolution that was...
So
Well, I'll second it, but I just have a question. Do we need to have the resolution number that we're rescinding? I mean,
Well,
it will come into play. It will come into play when we vote on it to rescind it.
Then send that second.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And then we'll now have a new motion to pass the corrected language.
So
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And thank you again, Mr. Terrell, for catching that. Any other item?
there might be the mechanism to amend that one before, so
could have done that.
Yeah.
Already.
one or the other.
Let it be clean with the new resolution rather than,
Absolutely. Any other items that were followed from the safety committee? Hearing none, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Ms. Patrick?
I'm sorry.
Second to
Mr.
adjourn.
Carlos. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you. I would like to call the Finance Committee to order, and the first item is a grant award COP FY25 Safe Outcome Enhancing De-Escalation and Crisis Response Training for LE Support for Law Enforcement Agency.
Hello again.
Hey.
All right, so tonight I'm presenting to you the Schenectady Police Department was awarded $299,581 in federal funding through the Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, COPS. The COPS Safer Outcome Grant ultimately is going to provide critical funding for our department to implement comprehensive de-escalation training for all sworn members of the department. The initiative is ultimately going to enhance our officers' effectiveness in managing high-stress encounters, hopefully reducing the likelihood of use of force incidents, and also strengthen community trust. We have currently the money is being allocated mostly for training. Some travel, I think equipment has been removed from that temporarily. We need to discuss with the the grant officials. And then also staffing backfill, so while officers are out at these trainings, we're not facing a deficit with the officers on the road, so there will be money to backfill. So we're not seeing a negative there. And it's also not coming out of the city's pocket. There's no matching funds from the city, and I'm asking that you guys accept this money.
Go ahead, please.
I just had a question in regards to the training. Definitely excited to see these types of monies coming into our city. Could you just expand on what that looks like?
As far as the type of training?
It's like we're talking trainer to trainer, everyone goes, or...
So there's, to be honest, I put in for a lot. I put in for some online trainings that everyone in the department can go through. Some are a couple hours, some are full days. I also put in for bigger trainings, which are more geared towards trainer from some bigger companies like Force Science Institute or of that nature, that they'll go for either a week, 2 weeks, whatever it is. I put in for quite a few individuals of each. Learn everything they have to learn, be certified in it, and then come back to be able to train our people. Now, whether that's through official in-service training, that there's designated time blocks that we set forth through the training department, or if we do, if we roll it out slowly through lineup trainings, so we're not taking them off the road. That's, I guess, logistics to figure out later once we get there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Go ahead, please.
So I see that the budget period start date was 10/1/25, so we're a couple months behind. Are you still going to be able to spend the allocation within the time frame?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, these once we get rolling with this, the training hours that it's going to take plus the backfill, the numbers are just going to add up very quickly. So I'm confident we'll be able to spend it.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, may I have a motion to move this forward?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. One more item, the grant award, FY25 Community Policing Development Micro Grant.
All right. Now this grant that was applied for, we were awarded $114,590, also federal funding from the Department of Justice, Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services. Ultimately, what we're looking to do with this money is we're trying to hire a afternoons behavioral health case manager. Currently, we have a team that works during the days, Monday through Friday. Our off hours are where we're seeing a gap. It's 16 hours Monday through Friday. It's difficult to cover those times to get people to come in. Even though we have resources that can respond, they're not always available. So having someone in-house to assist our officers, go with them on calls, or if it's safe to do so, they can go on their own. Having someone in-house regularly is just it's gonna prove itself very valuable. So ultimately, what this money would be going towards would be to cover salary, taxes, health insurance, and retirement of said employee. The money is going to cover 1 year plus a partial of a second, and in that time, we're going to try and seek out other funding, whether it's through other grants or whichever, to cover beyond that. We do have a backup plan to use opioid settlement funds to cover us through the second year if we need to, but we're trying to seek a different route.
Just a question. Mayor, during the police reform, we had a similar position that was in police reform, something similar to this kind of?
Well, what times we have, I might be overly simplifying it. We're staffing at 8 to 4, 9 to 5. It's some of these off hours is where the problem is, correct?
It's proving to be a gap where we could
so it's
definitely
take what we
need
already have and supplement.
Supplement this additional position in terms of the person. Okay.
With broader levels of coverage.
No, I just want to make sure that I'm just recalling that we did that during the reform. Someone, please.
So you're calling after-hour shifts. So is this individual going to be on call, or are they going to be assigned to a regular shift?
No, regular shift, afternoons.
Okay. Start like,
So I say after hours, meaning like after business hours. So we have someone currently business hours Monday through Friday. We're looking to have someone work the afternoon shift, right? So officers, you have your daytime officers and you have your afternoon. This would just be a supplement to the afternoon shift.
and would that include weekends?
I guess it depends on what they negotiate on hiring somebody. I'm not sure.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
And this is going to be like a mental health professional that you're trying to hire?
Yeah, so the title would be a behavioral health case manager.
Okay. Health case. So the question, so I know case manager is one thing, but is this person going to be a mental health, like a certified mental health professional? Or is this just going to be someone to kind of take care of some administrative stuff? Or like
I'm not sure
manage
exactly
cases?
what their title would be, but ultimately,
Like what would they do? Like layman's terms, like
yes. To answer your question, yes.
Yeah.
Ultimately, yes. But I don't know if they would have that title. I don't know if they'd have the credentials to go with it. I'm assuming to hire someone as a behavioral health case manager, there has to be something to go along with it. But yes, they're going to be the crisis response team in-house.
Mr. Frelly, some of that, these calls end up being widely variant. So some might be mental health, some might be drug and alcohol issues, some might be just people who are down on their luck. So I don't know what the actual job description is. It may not even been put together. It's pending. This is approved, then we'll do the actual creation of it. But it's, I don't want to say it's just mental health, where it might be a little bit broader in terms of the engagement,
substance
and the
abuse,
support that's done in the
something
field.
of that nature. Good, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's one of those positions where they kind of wear a lot of hats. And they're just very flexible and good at what they do. So.
I was just wondering, and maybe you don't know this answer either yet, whether this person would then report to our other full-time person.
Oh, of course, they'd
Okay.
work cooperatively together. They actually likely would share an office.
Okay, great.
So,
Thank you.
and if I recall correctly, there would be an overlap in their shift. So, of course, there would be.
Great.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
I think this would be an appropriate time to kind of educate the community, and I'm not in this position, but in my conversations with Lieutenant Masheron, I think sometimes the community underscores the work that goes into managing like this community, this at-risk community in the city. I think oftentimes it's, I'm just going to call the police and they're going to take care of this individual, and that cannot be further from the truth. There's so much more considerations to responding in a humane and compassionate way. So to Mr. Farley's point, I think that differentiation in what they're capable of, I think regardless, this individual is going to be swamped because there's just a glaring need, not just in our county, but for mental health support across the nation. So I think any dollars we can get helps to severely impact this type of just crisis within the city. But I appreciate the work the police department does. I think they're always advocates that say, is this work best suited for the police department? I think having any of an individual with a caring and understanding view looking to make a difference helps, and I appreciate just Lieutenant Masheron's team and their willingness.
So just for clarification, you mentioned after hours. So this individual, whoever is hired, will be at the precinct
Yes.
during that hour, if it's 5 to whatever that 8-hour shift is.
Yes.
And that person, that individual will be required to have some mental health certification background, kind of thing.
MSW.
I don't know if
Social work.
maybe, I don't want to say mental health certification, but again, the schooling and skill set for these are, been talked about, are widely variant, and none of the, I don't believe we've advertised for this yet. Still, we have council do it to actually go out to see who's available and to compliment Lauren's doing a great job. The work she's doing
And to
today.
that point,
So it's
she is
hopefully
overwhelmed.
to how to find somebody of an equal skill set to come in and complement the work that she's doing along with the lieutenant.
Yes.
I'm talking about that, she's also supporting the fire department also, and the police currently. or just the police department?
This is field work. We have somebody else that does the,
Not this position, the one that we currently have.
Kelly Tillman?
She's
Right.
supporting fire.
right,
police.
but this is not for the staff. This is for the public.
It's for the community.
Right.
Go ahead, Mr. Carney.
Kelly, I see.
Well, for a point of clarification, my inquiry around like whether this person will be a licensed mental health professional was actually just to try to better understand maybe like what the scope of the responsibility will be. I don't want to, overlook the fact that there's like a lot of tons of research, and this is national research, in municipalities that have people who might not have that level of credential, but does have, is identified as what's, known as a credible messenger. Like a lot of this work first started out like in Chicago, things like that, where there are credible messengers, people who have strong connections to the community, who may undergo some training in order to make sure that they are in line with kind of like what the expectations of law enforcement is in the moment. However, they don't need to be a mental health professional to yield a lot of really good results. In fact, that credible messenger model is more towards the fact that you're not the more traditional credentialed person, but you're someone who has some sort of proximity to one's lived experience, which helps you negotiate, with people in that. So the more the merrier, but I just wanted to make sure that that point was clear.
So according to the information that is provided in the grant application, it says homeless individuals. So is this going to go only to people that are homeless? Expanding on that, if there's someone who's experiencing a mental health crisis but does not fit the definition of homeless, is that person also someone that would be we'd be able to provide services to on this grant? And it does give their time that they'll be there working from 3 to 11. Yes.
So currently, right now, that office with Lauren, they handle primarily. They deal with the homeless population and the opioid crisis. Anyone battling opioid dependency, any of that. And there seems to be an overlap between the two that they're finding. So that's primarily where they're going to focus their attention on. But I can't speak to everything they're going to be doing because, again, as I said, they wear many hats. There could be many situations where they're called upon to assist, given the circumstances. I'm unsure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good point, Ms. Porterfield, because there's, it wasn't just the homeless. I didn't catch that myself, but I think the hub does a wonderful job now with the homeless and everyone in the community. I would love it to see extend into overnights and weekends and more funding. People aren't just homeless and opioid addicted Monday through Friday.
So a majority of the calls that they find dealing with this happen during, morning to night.
Right.
It's a little bit less in the overnight hours. So
That's when you find them.
their choice was to fill
Right.
the larger gap that's needed rather than the overnight hours at this point.
And my hope would be that you just worked every aspect you could on funding and making sure
course.
that this continues, not only for a year plus a little bit, but
Right.
a lot longer.
That's
Thank
the
you.
goal.
So do we by any chance, this will be a civil service position, more than likely?
well, every public employee is a civil service position.
Management.
Is it competitive, non-competitive, temporary, exempt? It's, and the grant funding like this would be treated probably initially as a temporary position.
So that doesn't require a civil service requirement?
It would not require a civil service test. Becomes a permanent position, then it becomes subject to testing.
And by any chance, do you have a sample of the job description created for this?
I don't. And I don't know if there's a job description for Lauren's position now, and I don't know if this is going to be slightly modified.
I'd imagine it would be. And with this grant funding too, there's also about 10 pages or so of conditions that we have to meet. So not only do we have to take into consideration the job description, but also make sure we're meeting all the conditions from the grant, so.
Any other questions?
It's great.
Mayor, go ahead, please.
So really quick, I just, anytime we talk about anything that's in response to opioid crisis, as a governing body, I think it's important that we look historically about how things got here so we can project things moving forward. So I just think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that we see this funding tied to the opioid crisis. When the opioid crisis was when people were returning from Vietnam War, and it was predominantly black and brown communities that were impacted at that time, there was not this level of investment into helping people get off of the substances. There was a lot of dehumanizing language towards black and brown communities when people were returning from the war that were suffering from the opioid crisis. And now what ends up happening is that all these years later, because it went so unchecked, it's now kind of made its way out of, you know, just the inner city to the suburbs and impacting other populations. But the thing is, we've lost probably 30 years of research and development and service delivery models that could have been developed to help if we had looked at people, those black and brown people that were primarily impacted by this, if we looked at them as human beings. Why I think it's relevant to bring it up now is because now we're looking at a grant to talk about how do we that deals with this issue. And again, I just want the council to always be thinking and using that equitable lens around, like, even so now when we're looking at other grants and other funding streams of impacted communities, what are some of the communities that are not being serviced and maybe aren't looked at with that same level of social political capital? So I want to make sure that we just acknowledge that when we talk about people, when we talk about the opioid crisis, that a lot of the reason why we're here is with direct results instead of racism. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments regarding this item? Seeing none, we have a motion to move this item forward.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. The next item is just a reminder of the 2026 Upper Union Street Business Improvement Budget. This is a public hearing that is scheduled for December 8th at 7 p.m. The next item is also a reminder of the Downtown Special Assessment District 2026 budget. This public hearing is scheduled for December 8th at 7 p.m.
Mr. Chairman, on those that process is started a little bit later than we would like, it is the prerogative of the council to act upon that at the conclusion of the public hearing, as opposed to waiting 2 weeks.
Oh, they're behind on schedule.
Right, so
okay.
A lot of this has to be inputted manually for the tax bills to go out. And so absent some comments that would be unexpected or opposition to those budgets, I would ask that the council consider adopting those next Monday night at the conclusion of the public hearing.
Finance Committee, any objection regarding that?
No. As long as we're able to do that, I have no issue.
Pardon?
As long as we're able to do that,
Yes,
I have no issue.
we can. We have done it in the past. So we need to move a resolution for that?
Oh, we'll have it right.
You have it ready?
Yeah.
So we don't need to move anything out of committee here. But I think we need to move a resolution to adopt the...
You should. Yes.
To be on the safe side, we just need to move a resolution.
You should, yes.
So we're calling for a public hearing is scheduled, so we'll need to move a resolution for the 2026 Upper Union Street Business Improvement Budget.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the next item is also the Downtown Special Assessment District. Motion to we move a resolution to adopt this.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next item.
Oh, hi. I'd just like to take this time to publicly introduce the new president of the Upper Street. Treasurer.
Treasurer.
Oh, yes.
Outgoing treasurer.
And outgoing treasurer. So thank you for your service. And your name is?
My name's Mark. Mark's wonderful.
Yes, from the insurance company?
Yes, I'm in Puma Insurance, not the union.
Welcome aboard. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
The other item I would like to ask the Finance Committee, we reset Finance Committee, and we will recall Finance Committee and allow the other agenda item to proceed, and then we'll reconvene Finance because this might be a long discussion, so I don't want to hold up the other items. And then we'll come back into Finance and conclude for the evening.
So you want to recess?
Recess Finance Committee.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to reconvene City Development and Planning. Ms. Barash is back. And your findings are?
Sure. So the question was whether the bulk trash sticker program can be temporarily paused. The answer to that is actually it can't unless you pass another resolution, or I'm sorry, pass another ordinance or an amendment, because it was done by, it's done by ordinance, it's in the city code, it's not a resolution. If it was a resolution, you have more flexibility. But because it's an ordinance, it's a law in our code, you can't pause it. You'd have to go through the same procedure as to amend or pass a new resolution.
So let me just ask this then. So when we originally passed the resolution, there was what was called a grace period where we did not actually, charge people or leave their things there. So is there something very similar that we could do a grace period during the holiday time, even though the legislation stays in effect?
That, I believe, is actually in the legislation that there was going to be a grace period.
Mm-hmm.
That was spelled out.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it would not be the same.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Farley?
So we couldn't amend it to extend the grace period right now?
You can amend it, but you have to go through the process of doing a public hearing,
Okay.
just like any other ordinance amendment.
Sure. So then I guess the only other way to really give people some relief as we figure things out would be, I guess maybe that would be an administrative decision by you, Mr. Mayor, to maybe temper the enforcement of it until then? If that's something that you're willing to do?
When we work on a budget, maybe we could come to a big package.
Are you trying to leverage this? Come on. In all seriousness, was that something that you would consider doing?
We always try and act with a level of common sense and sensitivity to people's general needs.
Is that a commitment or not?
I'm trying to figure out.
What is that?
But if you...
That's my position. So.
That we'll just act with a level of common sense, so there's no real commitment that we're willing to do anything during this time frame.
Well, common sense might say we have a budget. If we have a budget, then
But right now, we're talking about something different than the budget.
it's my position.
Mr. Williams?
I ask that we call for a public hearing to adjust the language.
Mr. Tora?
Thank you. Common sense would have been almost 3 years ago when, other than, I believe myself, and I can't speak to anyone else, wanted to impose a $35 yearly tax increase per unit, or trash increase. And we'd still be putting everything out without hunting for a sticker, which again, I think all of us know, the program was rolled out slowly. There was a grace period. I don't want to say what we would pay if and I would never want private trash here in the city for reasons, but what we'd have to pay for a mattress or a dresser, or they don't even take electronics, private hauling companies. So again, this could have all been worked out 3 years ago, and it wasn't. So here we sit, looking to do something, and again, I was in favor of helping every resident out, trying to get that going, and here we are again. So,
Thank you for the background,
Thank you.
Mr. Rivera.
excuse me one moment, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we reported this over 3 years ago. We were asked to increase the fee, and it wasn't increased to that amount, like $35 or whatever the number is. But from that time to now, we have almost tripled the amount of increase. So $35 at 3 years ago would not have helped them.
You might want to wait for Mr. Turner to return so you can explain
Yeah,
that to her.
because we have poured that over and over. $45 3 years ago, and we still keep every year increasing garbage fee. And it's way beyond $45 into the third or fourth years.
Mr. Farley, is your question, comment?
Yeah, and I was just returning to my previous question. In all seriousness, and I do recognize that we have a budget, and I know that there's other things that are that there's some subtext here, I'm sure, that is being negotiated. But I was being serious with my inquiry around, like, could we pause with the enforcement of this until we figure it out? And that was a serious question. I didn't know if you thought I was joking or not.
No, but I'm being serious too. I mean,
Okay, and I'm being genuine. I thought you were joking.
If you want, so you want me to pause it for the jackpots where somebody's put 2.5 tons of material out of the curb? It's my inability to manage that is I'm not given the rules that I can enforce uniformly across the board. And that's the council's decision not to limit the number of bags. I've got conflicted legislation there. So.
It was definitely the council's decision not to limit the bags. It really didn't make sense. Didn't come up, I mean, I was part of those discussions for a while. It just didn't come up with any real plan. And yes, it's the council's, up to the council to decide. It is up to the staff who do the day-to-day. We've asked for studies, we've asked for feedback. We've gotten none of that in terms of making those decisions. So no, we did not. We get saying like they were supposed to study it for a certain amount of time and come back and say this has happened, that's happened. It didn't happen. You know, we could just sit here all evening and talk about what happened 3 years ago, what happened last year, who was there, who wasn't. But what we want to really focus on now is, are we going to call for a public hearing so that we can amend the current legislation that says for this time frame during the holidays that we don't enforce that. So as opposed to, you know, just keep continually regurgitating what's happened in the past, and where right now we're trying to deal with the here and the now. Ms. Patrick?
Well, I was just going to suggest that, I mean, Mr. LaFont has been here giving us data, giving us information, giving us recommendations, and we could have him come back again to do so again.
Let me just correct, there's been no data that's been received.
I was going to say the same thing.
None.
That is incorrect.
No data.
Mr. Engineer, could you recap that point there?
Oh, the point?
On $35.
Oh, yeah. I was making my comment based on what you were saying. 3 years ago, we were asked to agree with the increase of the garbage fee at the time, and it wasn't increased to what the mayor was asking. The majority of council at that time feel that that amount was suitable to increase. That number 3 years ago had more than triple increase from that year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. So $35 at that time, it wouldn't have stopped the city from increasing every year garbage fee. So things have not changed. We seem to be increasing garbage fee every single year. So $35 at that time will not have stopped the city from continuing increasing.
Well, we don't know.
And just to add to that, we asked specifically for Mr. LaFont to come back with a specific 3 months of study. I can recall Mr. Williams asked for that. It was not. I remind the last time or the previous time Mr. LaFont was here, ask about that study. Nothing. So we can't just sit here and say, well, we're getting information. We're not getting information. How do we move forward with agreeing to continue the program, but we're not getting information? I think it's not right for us to say things like that, because it looks like we're not doing our job, or we don't have memories of certain things.
And the only information that we do have is that the year-to-date income, which was very low. So that was like the only data, and that was kept by the finance department, what didn't come directly from Ms. LaFont. So we know that the revenue that we're collecting on this program is low. We know that people have to come in to City Hall to get their stickers. Either cash is what the original statement said that was being handed out. And then when I spoke to assessment, they said it could be cash or guaranteed funds. Those are specifics that we know. But in terms of how it's actually performing, we have a lot of anecdotal, you can see it out there, but there's not been any specifics from the head of the department head. Mr. Farley?
Yeah, so, and I think that there's kind of a very closely related, but there might be some conflation happening with the two issues around the bags and the bulk items. The reason why, and I'll speak for myself, and I believe there were other council members that was of the same thought, is that the reason to limit numbers of bags and to do the bulk items, I think that that would be, you know, you want to have some level of like graduated interventions as we're dealing with the public. And that's why we went the way we went with the bulk items. To say that now we're going to, you know, or at least to kind of hold hostage the number of bags in order to stop the enforcement on something that isn't working right now, I don't think is the correct way to move forward. So I'm asking that you strongly consider the fact of pausing this enforcement right now. If it's not working, and if it's not working for the people of the city, let's just stop what we're doing that we know isn't working. And I think that that's a completely reasonable request.
Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry.
It's quite all right.
The system is unenforceable today. If I want to take this chair and put it out in the garbage, I've got to put a sticker on it. Or I can take and put a plastic bag over it, and we got to pick it up for free. So anybody who doesn't want to buy the sticker, put it in a plastic bag.
But that would be very, I'm sorry, I'm just responding to this response to me. So that's an oversimplification at best of what's happening because, well, and I don't know that people are cutting up their mattresses and putting them in bags. Are people cutting up their sofas and putting them in bags?
Get a bigger plastic bag.
So let's have a conversation that's kind of based in some realm of reality. Though that might be true for something like a chair like this. In fact, the communications that we've gotten have been around couches and mattresses. So it's not exactly the way that you're describing it. Again, what I'm saying is that if it isn't working, then why wouldn't we pause it now? And then as you get together, do the presentation, but you don't want to hold because you're not getting exactly what you think should happen. You don't want to hold and say, well, I'm still going to, enforce this thing that isn't working because you guys aren't allowing me to limit the number of trash bags. Like that's not a place that we want to negotiate.
So what is the component of enforcement that you think is improper or somebody's been treated unequitably? Do you have an example?
Excuse me, ask the question again because I don't think I understood what you said.
Do you have an example of some enforcement action that you feel was wrong?
So I'll start with this. So I know that there was a conversation, and I don't know exactly the particular person, but there was at least two people that came to us and talked about there was a mattress that was out. They dragged it back, but already that they had already had the fine. So I know that there were some issues there. My concerns around the program aren't just about the enforcement end, it's really about the logistics and the rollout end because the fact that you only have where people can come, widely people understood that they can only come with cash. People can cash or guarantee funds, that doesn't make it accessible for all people. The fact that people have to come down here in order to buy the tickets, buy the stickers, and we have a limited hours of operation here in the city. Again, that doesn't make it accessible. So I think that until you manage it internally to a place that number one makes it efficient, but yes, equitable, and that means that everyone has access to it, then yeah, those are my main concerns. So I would say until we address those issues, yeah, you pause the program. That's completely within your wheels and within your control, Mr. Mayor. So we pause the program that right now is proven to be inequitable and inefficient just based on people assessing the stickers, then why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we pause that?
Okay, you've made your request.
So, Ms. Barash, what would it take what would this council have to do in order to make that happen? If that's the position.
Our office can put together some draft legislation and bring it back, and then you can call for a public hearing on the legislation.
Can we just call for a public hearing now?
You have to tell me exactly where you want the amendment. I mean, you have to give me exactly what you want because we have to. Sam, is there enough time to publish it?
Yeah, I publish everything tonight.
Right, okay, you'd have to tell me exactly what section of the code. I mean, normally we take a minute to write all this and make sure it's okay with you exactly what you want. I can't just write a blanket blanket ordinance and then all of a sudden we don't have garbage collection at all. Because it was hurried. Because it was hurried. So I don't
It gets
want.
published Monday after you pass that legislation, so you'll have this week to write the
Put it
legislation.
together.
So it would go on they would call for the
Agenda.
public hearing on next Monday, but the public hearing wouldn't be for 2 weeks? Okay, yeah, so we could bring the legislation, we could email it. That's probably the fastest that we can do it.
So you call for a public hearing tonight.
Go ahead, Madam President.
So, I understand what you said about us having to wait 2 weeks, but we just talked about 2 items that were calling with a public hearing and passing it the same night, and why couldn't we consider that for this?
Those have legislation and those were already, like, the bid,
Already called for the public.
yeah, that was already done. The council called for the public hearing at your last meeting.
But we could do the same with calling for the public hearing, and then at the meeting where the public hearing was to be held,
You
pass the
can.
legislation.
Yes, Madam President, but it's not going to be this coming Monday.
I understand
It's going to be 2 weeks from there.
I understand that.
So if you want to call a public hearing, we can get legislation to you for review ahead of that. So when you're calling for the public hearing, we all know what the public hearing is going to be about.
Right.
So yes.
Yes, so from my perspective, it's to amend the current legislation and we'll, work on what the language needs to look like that during this time frame, this time of year, and if this program continues, it'll always be that during this time of year, that there's.
Okay, okay, then that's not what I heard before, so I want to make sure that's the thing, I want to make sure I understand. So you want it for every year during December to pause the sticker program?
So I'm hearing no, so is your suggestion just for this year, Mr. Farley?
Yeah, what I'm suggesting, it almost feels like there's
This is forever.
I wouldn't be actually against that, but I feel like
What's your suggestion?
there's creating some confusion here that really isn't. So I just very simply we call for a public hearing that allows us to extend the grace period of not enforcing.
Okay.
Because you said that it was in the legislation. You said in the legislation.
Yeah, I think it's in the legislation.
So if what you're saying is correct, then
But the grace period would be,
Yeah.
the grace period is over.
Yeah, that's already over.
So
yeah. So we.
So,
you can't extend that. I mean, that would create all kinds of legal confusion. It would have to be a new
Right.
pause. You can't, the grace period's over.
right, so we can't extend the grace period, that makes sense. We have to put something in there that says during this time frame for 2025, we will not do this. We could do that. Mr. Williams, you had a,
Could we just add specific language saying that we'd suspend the program for 30 days after it was passed, whatever those dates are, to allow time for us to have that presentation, although it will supersede this current council, I imagine, it would then allow us some time to have those discussions. And that way, if that doesn't happen, it just is reactivated, but it provides us that pause.
Yeah, my recommendation would be to just pick the dates. Do you want it to be, I mean, so if you call for the public hearing next Monday, that's December 8th, and then 2 weeks from then you have a public hearing, and if you pass it that night, I have to look at my calendar,
22nd.
22nd.
the 22nd.
Yeah.
So would you want to do, the mayor then has 10 days. So that brings you basically to January 1st. Do you want to do it from January 1st to the 30th of January?
I don't think that's gonna meet the what purpose we're trying to get to, and that's
Okay.
during the holiday season when people are putting out all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I understand. It's just, this is
Yeah.
the process we have to go through.
Yeah.
So we can't call for a public hearing and then. So I guess I'm not making the distinction between the two other agenda items that I know that the public hearing was already called for.
Mhm.
So that's why we're making the distinction why we can't call for a public hearing and then pass it right after.
Right, so we can call for a public hearing, call right, but that still takes us to the end of the year. So that's the difference. It still takes us to the end of the year. It won't happen on Monday.
Okay.
All right.
So if we, some
Question.
Yes, Mr. Mudaber.
So can we call a special city council meeting
That's what I was gonna ask.
prior to the 21st? So right after we move to the committee, if it moves out of committee tonight, they vote on next Monday, and then after that we call a special city council meeting for a public hearing for this specific item, and then vote on it.
Yeah, we just have to, we have to comply with the number of days in advance that it has to be published. So, once the city council calls for the public hearing, then Sam would publish the documents. And then I think it's 5 days in advance we usually do it, Sam?
5 or 3 days? 3 days.
Okay, so after that time has passed, then you could call for a special meeting.
So yeah, it's possible that we can, if we decide to go that path, the next meeting is on the 8th, the next committee meeting is on the 15th.
Yes, Mr. Toro?
Thank you. And again, as much as we want to help our residents out, because we really do, my daughters have friends who don't live in the city who have to save their cardboard because they have commercial trash and they have one recycling container. They save it for almost 3 months. But I do want to be aware that as much as we'd like to do that, I want, what would we be putting on our department? They're out there the last week of December, and everybody who got Wayfair has these huge jackpots out, and what are we doing to them? Maybe it would be the last week of December. I think I would be definitely in favor of this moving forward, not just to get it to one last week of December this year, but for next year, giving them a couple of pauses throughout the year. Spring clean-out pause, and then December pause. So I appreciate everything that we're doing, how we can do this, but let's also be conscious of what we would be doing to our guys out there and ladies out there who the last week of December.
Let's be clear, cardboard is different. That's already recycling,
No, I'm not
that's
talking
flattening.
cardboard. That's why I mentioned Wayfair.
Right.
I'm just saying.
Okay, and I have personally seen where there's been things out and people have, the trash people have just picked them up and put them in there.
But we're giving them permission to just dump.
Well, they have, but what that's.
Dump without
exactly.
a sticker. Right? I'm just, not anywhere, but
yeah.
just dump at curbside
So that's
without a
happening
sticker.
anyway. So the only difference would be people wouldn't need, if I get a new couch, I'm still gonna put on my old couch, right? So the difference would be that people just wouldn't have to try to come down to city council within certain hours and have cash or guaranteed funds
City Hall.
in order to access, so city hall.
Understand all that.
So really it wouldn't, it's,
Yes.
So I just want, yes, Mr. Mudaber.
I'm trying to, this program is not popular. And there's no secret, there's no work around this thing. I have been on the campaign trail this year, and not one single person told me that this program is okay or is good. It's problem on top of problem and frustration on top of frustration. So let's get rid of the entire program. Get rid of call for public hearing, get rid of this entire program and go back to the initial drawing board where we were talking about jackpots, that bulk item. That's what 3 years ago we talked about that jackpot, was to come up with an idea, how do we go after absentee landlords or people, plus people, other homeowner, absentee landlords / other homeowner, who are putting out bulk garbage. That's what this whole thing was around. Not bags, not sticker, but bulk item, and people from property line to property line were putting out garbage instead of calling a dumpster and putting things out, they're just dumping it there. We need to go back to that, where we address those bulk solid waste and bulk items and everything that comes with when people are clearing out an apartment, when their tenant moves out. So I think that we need to do, and that's where we've been able to generate that revenue there at that point in time. Because initially that was the whole idea. not sticker, not bags, 10 bags that was suggested.
Mr. Toro?
Yes, thank you. And the mayor at that time did ask us we had to, what was a jackpot? It was up to us to verify what we wanted as a jackpot. And we couldn't decide anything. We couldn't, right?
But let me just be clear that
Right.
it's not up to the council to decide those things. We're not out there picking up trash every day. We're not determining, we don't see that. That is
But you're
something that
talking
needs to be
curb to
determined
curb.
by, that is something that needs to be determined by the staff. They would have to give us information. So we definitely have those meetings, but that is something the staff determines. It's not something that we as part-time legislators
Right.
determine what a jackpot is. That's up to people who do it every day on the ground. And in my opinion, we didn't have enough people who were there every day on the ground as part of those discussions. So,
Thank you, and I'll agree with that because I believe it was one of our councilmen, Mr. Williams, correct me if I'm wrong. We wanted a count of everything they were picking up, how much they were picking up, especially bags at each residence, and I don't think they had the capability to do that. So we just didn't get that. So we just need to.
Ms. Williams?
If
Oh, I'm sorry.
I may, we asked for the data, and you're saying they don't have the capability of checking how many bags to give us a kind of feedback, data for us. We can move forward and say, yeah, we agreed to 10 bags or we agreed to 50 bags. So then how are they going to enforce, if they don't have the capacity, how are they going to enforce that 10 bag or 8 bag? So it doesn't make any, I don't feel that we're going around in circles. And I just want to go back to the jackpot. When this was initially discussed, it was only for jackpot garbage. It was nothing about sticker, it was nothing about 8 bag or 10 bag. It's about individual who was placing bulk trash outside after clearing an apartment. Those are the people we were talking about going and to kind of bring that under control. So we need to go back to that. And I think that is rampant around the city. I was driving out yesterday and today. There are lots of garbage out there, yes. Those are the things that we need to go back in and go after these homeowners who are putting out excessive garbage.
So at this point in time, we have to decide whether we're going to rescind this particular legislation and then start from scratch next year, or if we're going to try to do this pause. So, yes, Mr. Williams.
The only thing I was going to add, I think it's very easy to conflate being responsive with the need to be perfect. I think whenever you're encompassed with change management, it's understanding the scenario of the problem you're trying to solve. We don't have the data, so we did it by just our guesstimations, best guess estimates. We put in place a change that best reflected the composition of the council, which is our obligation. We're not going to see everything the same way, but we made adjustments. And as we've seen over the year, it did not get implemented as intended, and it was not received well in any regard. So I think there's now an obligation to adjust, and what that adjustment looks like is what we're discussing right now. I think it's very considerate to try and put in place a pause. That is not saying it's a blanket wave of put out whatever you can, but essentially they're going to do that anyway, because oftentimes people don't have the garage or capacity to hold items for an extended period of time. But I do think it's our responsibility, if we have a system that doesn't work in any reflect, to stop. And I think doing that with an intentionality to bring the conversation back to change is what we're doing. But to say that in one respect, council doesn't do anything, and in another respect say we didn't do enough, I think it's wrong to the voters. We did something, it didn't work. Own it, change it. And that's what we're trying to do.
Mr. Farley.
So, because the reality is there's a sub-conversation that's happening under this conversation, and we can pretend like we don't know what it is, but I'd rather not. The reality is that we're saying that the mayor wanted to go one way, council decided to go kind of a different way, and now we're saying, okay, this way isn't working, and then the mayor's saying, well, I'm not going to pause the way that we're going because you guys didn't give me. That's what's happening here. Like, this is not even about the person who can't afford or get down here to buy a sticker. We're not even really talking about that person. We're talking about the mayor and the council and all of the politics and all of the other stuff that we know that we're dealing with. So the reality is, if this isn't working, if everyone at the table is pretty much saying it isn't working, then we should be working together to stop doing this now until we figure out a better way to do that. I mean, that to me is pretty simple. But again, it's like all the posturing and all the, come on, it's ridiculous.
Ms. Barash?
I just give legal advice, I'm not posturing.
I wasn't referring to you. I'm always, you know me, Ms. Brock. I'm always very direct in whoever I'm speaking to. However, I do feel that I don't think that you're posturing at all. So that's not what I'm describing. But we'll talk offline about what I
Okay,
think is
sure.
happening.
I just want to point out that, like, I need, you want to do this quickly, and so, but there's more to it than if you pause it, what are we leaning back to? Like, is it the trash collectors will pick up everything? What is the fallback when you pause this so that we can write the legislation properly?
Certainly, allow me to answer that for you. So the thing is this: when we've had one way of operating up until we moved with the sticker program.
Yeah.
So if we pause the sticker program, during that pause, we're going to revert back to the way that we were operating prior to the sticker program. So,
Okay. I'm gonna have to look at the code to make sure that language is still in there because we amended everything. So it's not like there's no reversion to language that's gone. We have to re-enter it if it's gone. I'm trying to figure out so I need to know exactly, because you want to do this quickly. If I provide you with legislation, you're like, that's not what we were thinking of. There's no time before Monday to fix it. So I'm trying to get the picture here.
So let me give you very, very clearly. So
Okay.
if you go up until the point to where we voted the legislation through for the sticker program, you know, the legislation that was in the code prior to that, with the
Yes.
you could just use that as
You
a
want to
base.
re-enter that if
Yeah,
it's
there you
been
go.
deleted?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Mr. Motiveri, you were saying something different, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask that Ms. Michael should have those in emails, those draft, those back in time.
Well, no, we have
You
what
have, okay.
it used to be,
Okay.
but it doesn't just automatically go with
Okay,
that.
so that would,
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now I don't
Mayor?
think you're partial, but I do.
Mayor?
This is
So
crazy.
you want to go back to requiring clear bags, which were in the code before, which really unenforceable.
That's a really interesting point, Mr. Mayor, because if the code was clear bags before, but we hadn't enforced that for all of this time, then we very simply, you could still, within your wheelhouse, the same way that you didn't enforce the clear bags, could just not enforce this. But you're not willing to do that because, again,
I don't know what you're asking me not to enforce.
the sticker program.
On which items? So if somebody's got a jackpot out there, I'm not supposed to go after them?
Right now, you cannot go after them for the sticker program. That's what I'm saying. The program that you're saying isn't working, that everyone's saying isn't working, we don't have to
Program that the council
complicate
put
this
in
to hide
place.
in the confusion. We don't need to do that. It's very simple. What I'm saying is that we know that it's not working, or you can make it so people cannot have to, that you're gonna have it where people can come and access these stickers after business hours. You can make it so people don't have to have cash or guaranteed funds to do it, and you can make it more accessible and equitable. But the decision is yours. The same way, to your point, you didn't enforce this clear trash bag thing. You can just make that same decision until we figure this out and not enforce this and put this on people as well. It's not that difficult. But so I just asked you a question 25 minutes ago. Hey, would you pause that? You didn't even tell me yes. You said, oh, we got a budget coming up. Come on, man. We don't have to do it.
Okay, so we can sit here all night. We've done it a couple times, going round and round in council's discussion.
So, Mr. Motiveri, what was your suggestion on this? I just want to make sure that Ms. Barash gets whatever she needs as we try to move this forward.
my honest opinion on this program?
Yeah. Well, we're all being honest right now.
It's just completely get rid of this program. Completely. Get rid of this program. It's not working. And revert back initially to the discussion that we had a couple of years ago. Bulk items. People who are putting out excessive garbage when they're clearing out their apartments. Those are the things that we need to address. And I recommend that we go back to the drawing board on those items. And go back to the OGS and let them come up with a recommendation, like what they were supposed to do back then, for us to move forward on these bulk items.
Ms.
Not
Barash?
5 bags and not 4 bags of bulk items.
Ms. Barash?
So, Mr. Motivarian, you're talking about the future. I need to know what you would like. I'm not a legislator, so we are.
Well, I mean, that's my suggestion. I don't know if the others are in agreement with that, but I'm suggesting, and that will be part of the public.
That would be, well, okay, that's a lot. So, okay, if you want to do that tonight, I will sit back. Can you read that?
No, that's why I said
There has to be a vote on what you
Yeah.
want in the.
So I'm good with pausing it also for a couple months until we have the presentation, and then we'll move forward. Well, then we're going to be back in the same boat again.
I would suggest to pause it for 60 days. That would give the mayor enough time and incoming council members enough time to hear whatever presentation is going to happen. That's what I would suggest, Mr. McGuire. Is that specific enough for you, Ms. Barash?
My understanding is that you would like to pause this program and re-enter all the language from the previous ordinance in the to take over in the meantime.
Yes.
For anything that was taken out, we have to put it back in, basically.
Sure, for 60 days. I was my understanding that, you could just write legislation that would pause specifically the sticker program, and then you wouldn't have to add back any other things. That's quite honestly is why I'm a little confused, because we ask you all the time about producing legislation, and isn't this level of, confusion around it. I think it's pretty.
I'm not confused. I'm not confused. You can't just eliminate part of the code without putting something else in.
No,
so if you're pausing it, there still has to be direction to the garbage collectors.
Is there a piece of our code that deals specifically with the sticker program?
Well, that's what I'm looking up right now. So if you give me a second, this is not how it's normally done. Normally you discuss, we present legislation with proposed amendments, and you review it. You're putting me on the spot right now to deal with this, which is fine. I'm doing my job.
All right, so then what are you?
So give me a minute. Thank you.
But I'm very simply saying that whatever the part of our legislation that says the sticker program that deals specifically with that is that we draft legislation to pause that. That's all I'm saying. I feel
Okay,
like, again, that's pretty simple. I don't know, and I'm not trying to, quite honestly, I'm responding to the fact that that is a very clear request that I'm making, but it doesn't seem like it's being received that way.
Mr. Toro?
Thank you. I just don't understand how we can pause the sticker, which I'm okay with, but then what does everybody do with the trash inside their house? I'm just saying, so what do they do with the couch?
Put it out and we take it?
They put it out the same thing they did before we had a sticker program?
Right, but I want to hear what's in the legislation. So if we pause the sticker program, again.
So are
No,
you,
no, no,
are
I
you-
totally
no, I'm asking you a
understand.
question. Are you under the impression that we need to revise our entire trash collection
Yes.
thing in order to pause the sticker
In order to
program?
pause the sticker, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah,
Because
that would be-
it doesn't address jackpots or bulk items any longer because we have the sticker in there now. So we can't just pause the sticker. That's what I'm thinking.
yeah,
I don't know.
I
So let's just be clear that the
Yeah.
sticker program does not also address jackpots. That,
No,
the
no,
very,
it addresses bulk.
may I finish?
Yes, thank you.
That is where it started, and we never got there. It didn't happen.
Right.
So pausing stickers program simply means that you may put up your couch, your chair, your mattress, any number of things on that list without a sticker, and we will take it. That
Did
is,
we leave bulk in there though,
Each of those,
is what I'm wondering.
who has to fee schedule?
but bulk items are bulk items. They're not, it's not the jackpot. They're two separate discussion points.
A bulk item is 14 mattresses or one mattress. It's
That's
still a
exactly
bulk
right.
item. Right.
That's right. So we can't call a bulk item a jackpot. If you have multiple and you want to name it that, that's fine. But if you have one mattress, 3 stickers. 2 mattresses, 3 stickers each. Everything. That's very well laid out. Mr. Farley is saying that during this time frame, we will suspend the sticker program, and residents may put out their mattresses,
Well, that has
their
to be in
chairs,
there.
their...
They may put it out.
Right. And because right now, the jackpot that you're talking about is not being addressed.
Yes, I'm not addressing jackpots, I'm
Okay.
just addressing bulk.
Okay.
I believe we have a fee schedule that
Yes,
we passed
yes.
that talks about how much it is for a sofa, how much it is for a mattress, how much it is for whatever.
Uh-huh. And how many stickers you purchase for each, correct?
No, I don't even think on the fee schedule, it just has the fees.
But it tells you, okay, it tells you on this fee schedule that a sticker costs $5. And then it says a mattress will cost you
It's
15.
Like 25 or something. Yeah,
No.
well, whatever it is, I'm just saying.
So in other words, you just simply figure it out. If it's $5 per sticker, it costs me 15 to get rid of a mattress, I put 3 stickers on there.
She understands, you understand.
So,
So section 161
garbage man.
D,
We used to charge.
excess residential solid waste or bulky items.
161B, you said?
And D, like dog. Excess residential solid waste or bulky items. This goes into stickers, household items like mattresses, beds, tables, grills. 3A, property owners or occupants may purchase excess residential solid waste stickers. The Bureau of Receipts. I'm just summarizing. A, and then B, each property owner will be issued 3 excess residential solid waste stickers each calendar year. So I have not been able to read this whole thing at the moment. I can just tell you that based on a quick look here, section D, 161-21, section D deals with stickers, but that deals with excess residential solid waste or bulky items. So if you want to pause this, there needs to be something entered. For example, the garbage collector will pick up all bulky items in this time period.
Right, exactly.
Perfect.
That's precisely.
That's what you want?
Exactly what I'm saying. We did something, we undo it for a period of time.
Do you still want in the section about the property owners being issued the stickers each calendar year because the calendar year is coming up? Do you want that to come out?
I think that, but the legislation, I mean, again, this would be, I believe this would be kind of more your wheelhouse there, but what I'm saying is whatever language that would reflect us pausing the program, the sticker program, for a period of time of 60 days. And then, so whatever's on that sticker program that's in that fee schedule, people would be able to put out without a sticker because there wouldn't be a sticker program. That's what I'm saying.
He wants to get rid of the sticker program.
Okay,
No, pause,
so
pause.
all right, so 161-21D, it's gonna be a pause, you're looking for 60 days. And we'll probably modify this B about the calendar year, in case you go back to the drawing board and it still winds up there. So, and the language will be that instead, the city will pick up all bulky and extra refuse in the meantime.
That was never was referenced in the previous legislation.
While during the suspension period, they'll make
Well-
sure it's time limited.
To make this simple, I'm just
Sure.
proposing to say extra, I mean, this isn't going to be the exact language, but basically what it says here, excess residential solid waste or bulky items will be collected by the city, something like that, without charge.
Without
There's
sticker.
that.
Well, we've never picked up sofa sleepers because the
Right.
metal composition, they have to, we create a recycling issue, and those have always been outside of the normal collection.
Sure.
And that's,
Create some issues for people. They put it out, they think it's going to get picked up, but there's no simple way for us to dispose of that. Because big components are required to be recycled, and the upholstery and other things would become MSW.
But that, when we changed the legislation, having known that already, that didn't get removed. We still weren't doing that, so that's not,
They would now have stickers on them, though, so if we're getting some of the revenue, then I think we're shipping a different mechanism, just because there's expense there.
Mayor, is it just the sofa sleepers? Okay.
Refrigerators need to remove the, still, white, what do we call that?
white goods.
White goods,
White
that still get picked up.
Still
We already have that on. That doesn't,
But they still need a sticker. They did.
The reality is in the market today, none of those are at the curb.
Right.
That's right.
Value.
They take them away.
the people are already removing them, I don't want to call them junk collectors, but the people that come around and collect white goods, etc.
Right.
So, pending the correct legislation that we'll see from Ms. Barash, are we ready to move this forward in order to suspend this for this time frame?
Well, we have to move it forward to call for a public hearing.
Right.
Based on the agreed legislation.
Okay. Which would be,
Which would be happening, call for the public hearing on December the 8th.
we'll call for it, yep.
Yes. And then the possibility of moving to call for a special city council meeting
Okay.
to address the public hearing and then vote on it at that very same evening. Now, after we vote on this, do we, after the 6th day or whatever that agreeable time frame, does this revert back to the original legislation, or do we have to bring it back to council?
No, it's
For
not,
amendment.
there's no reverting. If something's entered to the code, it's in. If it's gone, it's gone. So that's why I'm trying to, it's gonna stay the same pending my review, more deeper review tomorrow. My understanding is that the legislation you're looking for is that section 161-21D. There'll be language to the effect of that there will be a pause on the sticker program. So I'm gonna probably gonna leave the language in there and say there'll be a pause on this program for 60 days. The city will pick up such waste, however, I'm gonna check into what we cannot pick up. That's gonna be excluded. So that's what I'm understanding is what the council's looking for.
Now, and after the 6 days, we will have to, the council will have to amend
Yeah,
by a resolution.
based on what I have today, everything is gonna stay in there. And you'd have to amend it by ordinance if you want to amend
To
it.
change it back after the 6 days.
Yeah, you wouldn't, the way that I'm thinking of it right now is that you wouldn't have to because it's going, I'm gonna leave, to the extent that I can, I'm gonna leave the language in there. So that after the 60 days, it's just gonna, the language is gonna remain. So it's just gonna revert back to the sticker program.
To the sticker program.
Unless the council passes new legislation, which obviously you can do in the meantime. In terms of the 60 days, do you have the dates of what the 60 days are? It needs to be precise.
Well, we could call for the public hearing, but then we'd have to find out what day the special council meeting would be to pass it. So we don't have those dates right here for you. We'd have to look at that and then give you the dates.
Okay. If you want to do that this week, that would be helpful.
Yeah. So, and so these would be resolutions, right? We passed that with a resolution.
No, this has been passed with an ordinance.
That was passed
That's why it has to go through the whole ordinance process.
Okay. All right, so you'll have that information tomorrow? Wednesday?
Probably by Wednesday. I can't
Okay.
promise you tomorrow. I'm going to shoot for Wednesday.
Mhm.
In the meantime, you're going to have to do a motion. Did you
Call for a public hearing.
call for a public hearing based on what I just...
All right, I will entertain that motion. We're in city development and planning.
So moved.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. If there's nothing more to come before city development and planning, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, we are adjourned.
Okay, I'd like to call to order government operations. We have 3 items on the agenda. The first is the discussion around the Civilian Police Review Board. Mr. Williams.
Thank you. Just bringing this conversation back. Thank you, Ms. Frost, for sending that email outlining those changes. I was going to ask if you can just clarify the aspects of it. My original ask sincerely was whether or not we could remove the language kind of condemning falsified statements, not with the intent of allowing falsified statements to be submitted by complainants, but to identify that, to my knowledge, there's not been the enforcement of like fabricated instances from complainants, both when I served as the chair on the board and what I've heard recently. So to kind of imply or have that language in there, it seems as though it may be deterring people from putting forth complaints. I think there were other considerations from Council President Porterfield, but it has been and remains my recommendation to remove those condemnations and only allow that language at the top. It's just saying, I hereby attest to everything that I'm delivering is to the best of my knowledge. So that's the intent at which this was put forward.
So, yes, Mr. Councilman, if you would like to take that out, you can take it out. I think we discussed previously just taking it off the first page, but if you want to remove it entirely, that's certainly your prerogative. I would just say keep in mind that there's some people that may not realize the severity of making false statements, so it may be advisable to keep it, but it's within your prerogative. If you feel that it doesn't belong there, you can certainly, we can remove it. Well, I would direct the police department to remove it.
And just as a clarification, not that not acknowledging the importance of submitting like a fair and accurate like assessment of the incidents. It's just any incidences where it has been a fabrication, there's no desire whatsoever from the police department, that's based on my knowledge, to even enforce that language regardless. So to have it remaining there seems like to your point, like a deterrent. So I'm saying removing that may increase the complaints, and if we notice something in a similar context to the bulk conversation without revisiting that entire conversation, it's trying something, and if it doesn't work or doesn't have the intended outcome that we're looking for, just changing it back. But this is just being responsive to some of the conversations I've had in the community about how this is being received, and kind of making a alternate environment where people are hesitant to submit complaints without being 100% factual with their attorney present. As an older, like, I'm not making light of the situation, but there is some credibility to that.
So you would just want to, just so I'm clear, you would want to remove false statements, that just that sentence. The rest of it would stay because that's what makes it a an affidavit that they swear or affirm.
It's on both pages.
Yeah, so, yep, I think this was agreed previously to take it off the front page, but in terms of the second page, so you're saying to take out the sentence about false statements, but, and with notice of the foregoing, and then just start at, I hereby affirm that the foregoing
I
statement.
think this is absolutely where your legal expertise like trumps. If that is the minimum necessary language we need, I would say we do that, nothing more.
Okay, I think that that part would need to stay. I hereby affirm that the foregoing statements of fact are true under penalty of, I guess you can take out under penalty of perjury if you want a bare minimum. So I hereby affirm that the foregoing statements of fact are true on this day with the signature.
I appreciate that. That is absolutely the motion that I would like to put forward. I'm not in the committee, but that's what I would like this to encompass.
Thank you. So it still would remain on the cover letter from, does this go with the application? And also, I know this sounds like a redundant question, but is this what the CPRB is also suggesting that we do? Has the CPRB approved the change of taking that off the application?
So I'd say to answer your first question, that letter comes from the chief of police, and I don't
Yeah.
think we have any ability to curtail that in any way. I think that reflects their intended direction with this entire process. So I think having that be a true testament of how they feel is more than appropriate.
Okay.
I think I want to be careful of like where we need permission to act and where we don't. I think it's important to recognize that the CPRB responds to us, not the other way around. And I think in this specific situation, I'm highlighting my experience on the board and also the conversations I've had. I think as long as the intended outcome doesn't generate multiple falsified complaints, I think essentially if this is a barrier, eliminating the barrier. That's all I'm trying to do.
But so the CPRB hasn't actually weighed in on it? I mean, because they are our citizens that are, you know.
Yeah, but they don't.
I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I guess I'd want to make sure that these volunteers.
So the comments I've heard, and definitely want to hear from around the table, have been with hesitation to allowing an onslaught of falsified narratives to be submitted to the police department. I'm contending that that's not going to happen,
Okay.
but it not going to happen at a heightened instance that it already does, but in the instances that it is done, the police are not holding these people to the utmost degree of the law for every inaccurate complaint they're putting forward. So I'm saying since they're not even enforcing it as is, can this be a barrier to people submitting complaints? And I say that it has been, and I'm hearing from the community that it is. So I'm saying to remove that is responsive to the community, and if we notice that this has had an uptick, like exponentially, in people in the Office of Professional Standards reviewing false narratives, I think we simply return it. But I think if we notice that people are more open to putting forward their complaints, understanding that they're not going to lose their house and for having the wrong information submitted, I think it is our responsibility to change and then evaluate for a period of time.
So the question was the board designed the application as it is right now?
It's gone through iterations that I've submitted, and I think at this point this is the last edit.
Okay.
Now this has not incorporated collectively their best wishes. This is mine, and recognizing that I function as a member of 7, and I thought it was then important to bring in all of your opinions, because up till this point it was my feedback along with the chair, Deneen Pelletier, functioning with the understanding of the entire collective in mind.
Yeah, so if we look at why we have the CPRB right now, if we look at why we have them, we look at what the spirit in which this was generated to make us safer, more accountable police officers, then we must acknowledge the fact that there's a clear power imbalance. One party has the ability to enforce law and take you out of your home and do all these things, and the other party doesn't. So I think that in its appropriate context, I think that I would agree with you, Mr. Williams, that we're just looking at the true intention of why we're having it, and acknowledging that there are some historical inequities that have been in place, so why we need to have such things. So I would agree with you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Terrell?
Thank you. I would like to hear, at least from Chief Clifford, what his thoughts are on removing that. I think individuals need to know the severity of making false statements. And if they're getting secondhand information, they probably shouldn't even be bringing it forward to begin with, unless they're absolutely positive of what they're bringing forward. And especially from the head of the CPRB board, as far as the other members of the board, if they're comfortable removing it entirely or shortening it. That's my only ask.
It does have it in this
Right,
cover
see.
letter. So.
Yeah,
His response is noted.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, because it's in the cover letter that goes with it. So.
But I do like it above a signature. Just saying. We all know how that goes.
Sure, so I'll entertain a motion.
I will make that motion.
Sorry.
I beg your pardon?
We're moving to adopt this new form based on the recommended changes, removing and just keeping I hereby, that one sentence at the bottom with the signature part. And we're keeping the top part, I hereby affirm.
Correct.
On page. So are we putting it on both pages or are we removing it?
I think Ms. Barrage was highlighting it only needs to be on the last page.
Last page. So it's off on the first page and it's on this page, the last page, okay. I'll second it.
Those in favor?
Well, can I just, I'm just misunderstanding, I guess. I thought you wanted it off the whole application.
There's a sentence that needs to remain for it to still be an affidavit.
Right, I got that up here, but I thought what you
Bottom
were saying.
also is one
I think he wants
sentence.
it off the bottom of both pages.
No.
No.
Just
Oh,
the
well then,
The whole
you're
verbiage.
just taking it off of one page?
No.
Yeah, that's all. You explained it to me, Mr. Wade.
Yeah,
Nope, just that condemnation removed.
from both pages.
just one page.
But Ms. Barrage already highlighted that it doesn't need to exist on both pages. I thought we were kind of past that already. So we're now cleaning up where it currently still exists. On that document, it exists in both places. But
Right.
we're functioning like a reality where it no longer does.
So the motion is to remove it from the one document. Okay, that's the motion. That's what she was looking
So
for.
that was my clarification. We remove it completely from the first page. We're keeping the one sentence on the last page with the signature portion. And we're keeping the hereby affirm at top sentence.
Yes.
Yes, so I second that.
It's staying on the document, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next.
So it's staying on the document.
Sure, yeah.
Well, it's just,
You want me to read that?
it's just this part that they're affirmed that the foregoing information is true.
Misdemeanor.
I guess if you want, you can take this out too. It has to be somewhere, it should be by, I think it would be best practice to have by the signature. So if you want to take it out from the top, I hereby affirm
That's not,
that the following is true and complete to the best of my knowledge.
he's not asking to take that out.
Yeah, that's why I didn't address it.
Okay.
Okay, you're just saying in addition to what we just passed. Okay.
Right, I was just, yeah.
Okay, all right, cool.
No, I just brought up clarification because we did talk about it the last time. Some were like, okay, do we have that here? Should we remove it or should we change the wording? But I just want to make sure that we're keeping that. We're keeping the one sentence with the signature portion and we're moving forward.
Okay.
I think we voted on it already.
Yes. So what I'll do is hop down to number 3 on the agenda, Madam President.
Yeah, so thank you for that. I put forth a legislative request to appoint Steve Strikeman to the Schenectady IDA. Currently, there's supposed to be 7 members. We currently have 4 members. So for those of you who don't know him, his resume is attached, but I think most of us know Mr. Strikeman. And he's expressed an interest in being on the IDA, and I think he comes with a wealth of knowledge and background that would make him an ideal candidate to be a part of this board. So I've outlined it in the LR about how many members there should be, and that they serve at the pleasure of the council. And right now, he would not be replacing anyone because, again, there's only 4 when there should be 7. And he does reside in the city, so he meets all the check marks that are necessary. And so at this point in time, I'm asking for to pass legislation to add Mr. Stephen Strikeman, who is here this evening, to the IDA.
Mr. Williams.
I would say it's kind of more than appropriate to consider, especially when there's an individual who forthcoming wants to volunteer for these types of efforts. Extending conversations as they may, this organization has a very important need to fulfill in the community, and with it functioning with extended frequencies for a significant period of time, I think being responsive to when people come forward is our responsibility. So thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
I'll move this.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Sir.
Yep. So we will move to our second agenda item, Ms. Patero.
Thank you. Chief couldn't be here with us this evening, and AC Whipple wasn't feeling well, so he couldn't be here either. I brought this back again. So as you can see from the legislative request, that We're looking to align the weekly hour requirements for public safety managers and inclusion of a public safety commissioner. What new we have this week, we should have gotten a Department of Finance, City of Schenectady Management Benefit Program, or document, highlighted under Section 10 is the schedule of hours. Oh, I'm sorry, I highlighted it. But under Section 10, the standard full-time work hours for public safety management employees is established at 35 hours. The 35 hours are to be completed over a standard 5-day work week. So again, I'm bringing this back so that we can align the police chief. Let me get everyone here. We have amend the weekly hour requirement for the police department public safety managers, including chief, assistant chief, and deputy chief, and public safety commissioner to 35 hours to align in agreement with the Department of Finance, City of Schenectady Management Benefits, and our code of 87-45, specifically B. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so the management benefit information that you sent us said that it commenced 1/1/26. What does the current statement say is my one question. And additionally, we raised the question of, the mayor said that, well, we weren't sure whether these scheduled hours, et cetera, or something was done within the contract within the police and the fire, and we asked for that, and I've not seen it. So I just really need some clarification on that. And again, this is commencing 1/1/26. What is currently in place?
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Garash, do you?
I didn't bring the current one because Chief Football, who was I talking to? I think it was you and Chief Football.
And Commissioner Devine and Chief Clifford.
Yeah, so someone was supposed to get the management benefit agreement that's currently, because this is amended, but it's not, this is not the current.
They were supposed to send it to Sam, along with my legislative request. But it's currently in there now for the management
And so
employees.
This is the new language.
Yeah.
So where it says these benefits are currently in effect but are subject to future changes, does that mean everything or only things that are bolded? What is that referring to? I don't know.
I haven't bolded anything. The only
No,
thing-
I'm speaking of the document that we received.
Oh, okay. Just item number 10.
Okay.
Mr. Rivera?
Yeah, thank you. I think, that's, when we discussed this the last time, we did ask for a sample of the fire department contract and also what the management agreement that we have in place in-house. So rather than us looking at a complete new one here, we wanted a comparison of the fire department and the current management agreement that we have in-house. So looking at this here, I would like to kind of like look at the one that we have and to kind of highlight what is different from the one that we have currently versus this one here. Because this one here is only identifying public safety manager. Do we need a separate management agreement for every department, Mayor McCarthy? Or do we have one standard?
I hope not.
That leads me to the question, and why are we just identifying number 10 as one department? Why not we just include?
Because it evolved over time. One was 40 hours, one was 35 hours. So it's, if you want, we'll bring that back. This is the first time I'm seeing this. We're being updated effective.
Yeah, because it will be
26, that I believe this is accurate with the exception of the changes where item 10 has been added to this schedule.
Yeah, I'm leaving to the, I think we should have one standard management agreement. I think we have to expand section 10 to kind of include public safety manager. Any department that falls under this should be here. So we should not have every department has a different management agreement or management benefit. We should just do one across the board if the department is qualified for this 35 hours.
Ms. Patrick?
Well, is that what you, weren't you just trying to get it 35 for any department head?
I was, but as they pointed out, section 8745 is just referring to the article shall apply to the class of exempt public safety managers appointed to the position of police chief, assistant chief, fire chief, and assistant fire chief as authorized from time to time by the city council. And they're described as public safety managers. And so
I see.
that's why we should include the police in public safety managers from 40 hours to 35. There are other public safety, there are other individuals in the city, department heads or whatever, that do work a 35-hour week. But specifically right now, we're just referring to including the police department, public safety managers in what we already have in our code and moving forward in our management benefits.
Yes, ma'am.
And not taking anything away from any other fire department or any other public safety management at all.
Since this document is new to the mayor, mayor is now reviewing it, I would like to see, since we're touching on this, I would like to see a broad involvement in terms of department that falls onto this management agreement be listed in this document here. So we have one standard document and says, who is entitled, and we move forward rather than individual. So I would recommend that we look at the current one that we have. We don't have a copy, that we ask for it, we don't receive it. Not gonna blame anyone. We should look at that and look at the current one that we have for the fire department. And we need to go through all the sections to make sure that we're capturing everything, we're not missing anything, and we're not having two separate management agreements. And we move forward. I think their support is here for it.
Yeah.
But we just need to make sure we don't want anyone to feel that, well, what about me? Kind of thing. So I want to make sure that we capture that. The mayor is in agreement with this, make sure that the mayor is in agreement with the management.
Well, I didn't say that.
No, I'm saying, I'm making that statement. Making sure that the mayor is in agreement with what we're doing.
If you're a manager working for me, I would expect you to work at least 40 hours a week. These jobs, they're well paid, great benefits. The demands are fairly high. And so what you're asking for is not going to quite work because this is the general management package, largely referenced off the CSEA agreement, which applies to everybody except the public safety managers who have separate benefits that are derived because of the collective bargaining agreements within the PBA and within Local 28, Schenectady Paid Professional Firefighters. So you're not going to get like one document that's going to completely cover everybody. If you want to modify some of those things, it is the prerogative of the council to do it, but it's more complex than I think what you may be asking for. So if you...
And just let me throw the other question in terms of the contract, the union contract for the PD. When is that up?
The firefighters contract is up January 1st of 2025, and the PBA contract has another full year. It goes into 27.
Mr. Terrell?
Thank you. Can I just add that the contracts don't cover the public safety managers?
But some of the benefits in the contract are granted to the managers.
But not the hours.
So the retirement benefits, these other things, some of the health insurance coverage that are given to the PBA members or Local 28 members, apply to the managers that do not apply to general management staff or CSEA. Even though we've tried to get more standardization in the agreements, but there's still factors that are widely variant because of the nature of the collective bargaining agreements that have evolved over time.
Well, yeah, if I may follow, so Mayor, can we hold off on this and allow you the opportunity to negotiate a contract in 2027 and use this as an opportunity to, as you bargain collectively? 2027.
It's, the managers aren't a problem when negotiating. The other 158.
This is where the negotiation comes in. I mean, I'm giving you, and the negotiation on the table, and everybody is getting, benefiting from those collective bargaining.
Mr. Williams?
I would say I agree with the mayor and that for management positions, how I've always interpreted it was 40 hours. And I think entirely are working more than that. And I thought we were waiting for a clarification from Chief Burns as to whether that 35 hours reflects like a lunch or doesn't incorporate a lunch. But sincerely, everything the mayor said about you're compensated at this level due to the variability of you having some of the luxuries of being able to have a guaranteed lunch. But I also think some of those are state mandated requirements. But whether you take it or not, I think kind of speaks to your management style and how receptive that will be to your staff. But I am not in agreement with reducing it to 35.
And the day I asked Chief Burns on this matter, he clearly informed me very quickly he did not get a lunch that day.
We can send it one.
Madam President?
So I just want to be clear, Mayor, you said that the firefighters' contract expired at the beginning of this year, so right now you're getting into
We're a full year into negotiations.
a full year then? Okay, just want to make sure I understood that
But
clearly.
I've referenced that to the council a couple of times in terms of the budget negotiations, so it's
Okay.
Mr. Terrell?
Thank you. So, the city council by ordinance shall establish and prescribe. So, Mr. Williams, are you saying that the fire department should not be entitled to the 35 hours that they've been extended to for all this time?
I'm saying if you can say whether that 35 hours incorporates an additional hour a day for lunches, we're essentially talking about the same thing. We haven't got that answer yet. But I'm saying to lower that threshold from 40 hours to 35 hours, I'm not in agreement with that based on the fact that your compensation is due to, for all intents and purposes, not getting a lunch every day.
Did we get that answer yet? Okay.
Chief Burns has been involved in all these discussions for including the police department. Mr. Rasmus,
Mr. Mudavar, I'm sorry.
Chief Burns has been included in all these discussions, so.
Yeah, but I think we asked for the documentation that the fire department has in terms of this management benefits / agreement to say exactly are they a standard full-time work week versus 40 hours where you're entitled to 5 hours per week for lunch. So that will bring it down to the 35 hours. So that's what we were asking for. So that's what we need to see in terms of what the standard agreement that we have in place, the fire department agreement, and then we incorporate whatever is on paper into this agreement. And we might need to reword it based on when we have a look at those agreements.
So the public safety, so the police, public management have to work more hours than the fire? No, I'm just asking, is that what you're?
No, I'm not saying that.
So,
Okay.
Did I ever say that?
No, I'm asking.
No, you're not asking me that.
Yes.
so what we're trying to figure out is, last time that when you brought this forward, we were trying to figure out, is there 35 hour to the 40 hour discrepancy based on lunch break, right? And then it seems like we didn't get that information yet. So
Well, I'll bring this back in 2 weeks and reach out.
certainly, but what I'm saying is that it does seem like you've been in contact with, but we just the information didn't just get to us, but it seems like there is some support at the table, just based on whatever information we get.
Good.
Okay, so you want to bring it back?
I'll bring it back in 2 weeks.
Okay, certainly. Ms.
So
Motivate?
before we do that, I want to just, we asked for this the last time, so we just to look at the standard agreement that we have in place, and we need to look at the signed agreement from the police, the fire department, so that we can look at both documents, and then we can make changes going forward with this one here.
So you're making an informed decision?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments around that?
Can't HR probably provide those? Wouldn't our HR office have those?
I'll reach out to, I don't think there's any signed agreement. I think it's just all in the management benefits package from prior. And in our ordinance, the ordinance that we have, that I presented twice now. So.
Okay, but you'll reach out to HR and see, and then...
Yeah, but just in response to that, Ms. Patrick, we didn't ask who we should come from, we just asked for the information.
Just
And
was trying to make it
Kevin.
easier.
Oh, okay.
And somebody reached out to him.
Okay. Okay, so with that, nothing else to come before government operations, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
I would like to reconvene the Finance Committee. Before I open the discussion this afternoon, we did receive an email from our Corporation Council. I'm hoping that everyone had an opportunity to go over that email, but I will ask Corporation Council, just for clarity and for the public, to kind of walk us through that opinion or case study, if I'm pronouncing it right. And then I open for discussion on how do we move forward with this budget.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, per the email, our office did some legal research to see where do we go from here. We did come across Donnelly versus Shea, a New York State Court of Appeals case from 1966. It's still the law. That was a very similar set of circumstances. Hang on a second. So I'm just going to kind of go through. So section C6-8 of the Schenectady City Charter, as you know, on or before November 1st, the City Council shall adopt an operating budget based upon the tentative budget. So the New York Court of Appeals, in the case that I provided to you, which was attached in the email, is on point here. And in that case, the City of Cohoes Charter, like ours, required that the Common Council adopt the annual estimate, it's basically the budget, within 30 days after its submission to the Council. The court there determined that the mayor had the power to veto such ordinance, and that being that he did so, and since the 30-day period during which the Common Council could have acted to override the veto and to amend and adopt the budget had expired, the court held that the act of formal adoption of the estimate, again the budget, as submitted, had become a mere ministerial act. The court therefore ordered and compelled the Common Council, the City of Cohoes, to adopt the original budget as was submitted to it. So accordingly here, the Schenectady City Council should perform the acts of passing the mayor's proposed budget and the associated local law to override the tax cap for full budget implementation, since this case is controlling.
So before I go into that, did you have any opportunity to look at any case study with regards to the tax cap override? Any case in regards to that?
We didn't come across, so one of the assistant
Because this case is
corporation-
1966 that you're...
Yes, so I did, Assistant Corporation Counsel Dashinger did this research. I specifically asked him to check to make sure that that case is still good law, because it has been some time. And he did check, and he said that it has been, there's no negative treatment of the case. If you look at the corner here, it says positive. That's the case treatment over time. That means that this is still good law. It's just the way that's indicated by the software program.
Yeah, but that case study has no reference in terms of tax cap override.
It does not refer to tax cap override.
Correct.
It's just basic budget at that point in time in 1996 to deal
Right.
with that.
Right.
But we're not talking about a tax cap in 2025 here versus a 1966
So
case.
the length of time between cases does not make a case, passage of time does not make a case less correct or relevant. That case did not deal with a tax cap override.
And that's what I'm trying to get at, because there is no compelling reason for us to, okay, there's a compelling reason from the court for the council at that time to vote on the budget. But there is no compelling case for us as a council to vote on a tax override.
So my office is not the ultimate arbiter
I know.
of the issue.
No, I'm asking you
I'm-
because it's not quoted there in that case.
It's not,
Yes.
there's, the exact set of circumstances may not, repeat itself over time, and that's why there's courts, because they have to make these decisions. But my reading of this case would indicate that a budget was proposed by the mayor. The council did have the 30 days, the same, our charter is very similar to what they describe as the Cohoes charter, and that if formal adoption of the budget is a ministerial act, that passing the local law to override it would fall under that, would fall under that as well. So that is my recommendation that the council.
So we're dealing with two things here. We're dealing with a case study back in 1996 compelling a city council members, city council in Cohoes, to vote on the said budget at that time. We're dealing also with something different out here, tax override. That is not being, I don't know if it's been to the court before in here, or there's no case study with regards to that, because you didn't present that to us.
Yeah,
I want to know two different things. Voting on a budget because it didn't happen in 30 days, and voting to override a tax cap, which we do not have a legal opinion against that.
Well, I don't have a legal opinion against, oh, you mean, is there a case against
for
it?
the tax override?
We did, I don't know that we specifically looked for that, at least not today, but I think that law is relatively new.
Yes, it
Tax
is,
cap
yes,
override, so
yes.
I'm not sure that there would be case law on that at this point. So, in order to enact the budget per this case, which says that the budget should be adopted based on the timeline, it's my interpretation that the council, it becomes a position of the office, that the interpretation would mean that the budget as well as the local law should be passed by the council.
Go ahead, please.
So I just want to be clear. So you talked about the City of Cohoes and the Common Council, and the information that you provided to us, is that from their ordinance?
Right, that's from this is the highest court in the state, a case that got up there, very similar set of circumstances, because it is the City of Cohoes, and they had their ordinance, their charter, had the same 30-day period, and it was very similar circumstance where the mayor vetoed it, and then the 30 days expired. And so the highest court in the state has issued this opinion, which is still good law, saying that the budget as originally presented should be passed by the council at that point.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to see what the actual ordinance says, because that was based on the ordinance for the City of Cohoes. And I don't know if their ordinance is exactly like ours, so that would, to me, otherwise they're basing it on the ordinance of a city, and it's not the city we're talking about right now, Schenectady. So I would like to be able to see what that ordinance is that opinion was based on, first of all. And then you mentioned in your email about the 30 days that we had to act on it, and my interpretation of your email is that the 30-day period started as of the 1st of November. However, the mayor didn't veto the budget until the 6th. So when does the 30-day start counting down and for us to be able to act?
The 30 days was October 1st through November 1st.
That was, okay, so we passed the budget by November 1st.
And it was vetoed,
And it
which
was
is
vetoed.
exactly what happened here.
Right. So, and you're saying that now we have no, because we took no action after the veto, we can do nothing, is what you're saying?
You can pass the budget as presented.
But that requires a tax override, which we all said we're not willing to do.
Okay, well, this is my recommendation according to the law. If you wind up in court, the city council and the mayor can wind up in court, and a judge will make the decision. When a judge makes a decision, they look at the laws on the books, and they look at case law. So I'm presenting to you the case that I could find that was most on point, and is quite on point to this set of circumstances. So again, that's my recommendation. I'm not the ultimate arbiter of this issue. If it doesn't, you know, if resolution is not found, I imagine that the parties would wind it up in court with separate counsel, and this case will come up because it's right on point. And just because, I don't know that I can find the exact ordinance, it's from, I can look and see from 1966, but I don't know that the exact language of the ordinance is that, like, the judge isn't probably going to ask for the copy of the ordinance from 1966. This is the judgment, this is the opinion. It's the same 30 days, same veto. So this is my recommendation. If there's not a resolution, I imagine you'll all wind up in court, and you know, that will go where it goes.
So respect your opinion in terms of the case study.
Sure.
But I think I mentioned, and I'm sorry I'm repeating myself, we have no case study or no opinion in terms of overriding the tax cap. So the case study is completely different from a tax cap override. Your recommendation, and based on that, you're asking us to say, well, because this happened, we should actually vote for the budget, and we should also vote for the tax cap override.
So
There is no study in terms of saying that we have to do that.
So again, I'm not the ultimate arbiter here.
No, I just want to clarify.
Yep, I'm simply interpreting the case and expanding on the case to where we are today. And so, no, I don't have a case exactly. There's not always going to be a case on point. If there was exact law and cases on everything, people probably wouldn't be so busy. So the courts have to make difficult decisions sometimes when there's gray area. And so, no, you're right. It does not deal with a budget that is over the tax cap, but it does direct that adoption of the budget as presented becomes a ministerial act. And that ministerial act is passing it with whatever, in my interpretation of it, passing it with whatever needs to be done, and passing a local law that goes with it for full budget implementation. It's within the spirit of the case as I see it. And that is my recommendation, and that becomes the opinion of the office of the Corporation Council.
But with two different things. So it's primarily two different items, a budget and tax.
They
cap
are,
override.
but the override, as you know, is required to implement the budget as presented.
But it's two different things.
They're two different ministerial acts at this point.
Go ahead, please.
So the case law that Corporation Council is from 1966, and the tax cap law itself, I think, was implemented until 2011 or 2012. So to a point that, like, there might be some similarities with the implementation of the budget. The tax cap is a pretty big variable that definitely would change things, because in that 1966 case law couldn't really encompass that, because that law wasn't even on the books until 2011.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is my recommendation, and the council can do with it as you wish.
Yeah, I was just make some points of clarity.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
Well, yes, Mr. Whitaker, I thought that we would be at least looking at looking at any changes that we want to make. I did have some questions. I asked for our year-to-date because we've been discussing this for a while. And so year-to-dates have changed as of the last discussion. I did not get a response to that email. I also asked for, and this was just this morning, because we really need to see where we can, find some common ground here and where we can close this gap. So I asked for a review. I wanted to have the all the information for city staff, a list of city staff, what their pensions were, what the salaries were, and everything. So we can just, God bless you, we can just kind of try to figure out, if there's any room there to, like, in terms of the vacancies, or there are still vacancies that are put in there that are included in that calculation. So in order to do that, I would need to be able to look at all of that. I also thought I looked over the revenue, and we talked about the tennis court that's being built. This is costing lots and lots of money, but in there we only have $500 for fees. So there should be, and Miss Patrick, you've talked about this a number of times, that we need to have something in place where we're actually getting some revenue from people who are not city residents but make a lot of use of our tennis courts. I can say that because I play tennis, and I know a lot of people there come from other places. So for us to build this facility and then to only expect 500 revenue, I think it doesn't make sense. That we wouldn't want to look at how we implement something that allows us to generate more revenue from what's supposed to be a very nice state-of-the-art facility. And I looked at the enrollment growth in terms of our insurance. This year we were increased by the suggestion is 12.49%. Last year the increase was only 5%. And so I really wanted to be able to look at what caused the high increase. What Mr. Lukama provided to us was enrollment growth, stop-loss premiums, utilization of high-cost claimants, specialty drugs, including GLP-1 medications, which is, for those of you who don't know, that can be used for either weight loss or diabetes. They're like Mounjaro, Ozempic, that kind of stuff. So I'm just wondering if these kind of things is what's increasing that, and if those are the kind of things that we actually have to pay for, or is there an opportunity for us, if it's cut not for a medical reason, not to have to do that. So I want to really kind of discuss how we came up with those projections. And the other thing about the self-insured statement that was provided to us, and there was one part of it said that it was to be determined, so they hadn't even determined part of it yet, but it's included in the calculations. So I think we have to really look at our health insurance part of it to see if there's any room for closing that gap.
Are you asking for reports on that?
I did. I sent emails and asked.
Those were the...
Yes. Mm-hmm. I sent one on last Wednesday, and then the other one I sent this morning. And there was just one other thing that came to mind. I don't know, this can't be a lengthy public discussion anyway. I know that back in March we had a conversation regarding budgeting an amount for an individual that would be on some type of long-term maintenance prescription, and I wanted to know if this calculation included that as well.
Did you ask for that in the email also?
I did. I wanted to speak to the person directly. I did not want to put that in the email. I wanted to be able to speak directly with them for that calculation, to ask about that. The finance department.
For finance, okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and this is, it's small, it's just that the public safety commissioner is listed as 50% and 50%, but my understanding he's only half-time, so it should be 25-25 wherever he's listed for the percentage of the time worked.
There's a commissioner back out from family leave.
He will be back either Wednesday or Thursday. Some of those numbers we should be able to get to you by tomorrow, just because of Thanksgiving today.
Okay.
The one calculation is more complex with each employee and the breakdown. So
It's just a list with that, I can say whatever columns, I think that I would be able to look through it. And in terms of the contributing factors, I have the...
well, what are you asking? Are you asking what the employees contributed toward their retirement? Or are you asking what
We are.
retirement? Okay.
What?
And some of those are different depending on which tier
I understand that.
employees in.
Right, so that's why I asked for
Public
by
safety.
employee, by department. I included you on the email.
Yep.
By employee, by department, and the specific thing. So I understand they're going to be different for different people.
Yep. It's not just quite a simple run on it, so I can understand why it's taken a day to put that together.
Oh, no problem. So, and I do have the, sorry, Mr. The self-insured plan as of September 2025, and it, it breaks down the numbers for us, but when it talks about increased prescription utilization of high-cost specialty medication, it says to be determined. So I guess I'm trying to figure out how we have a number and it's still to be determined in here. And that's truly, I think, the last thing I have.
Go ahead, please.
So I would just add that during the budget process, we were, finance department was working to reconcile. They made some reconciliations that resulted in hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there was funds that went up to the millions of dollars that we were still trying to account for and or reconcile. So I'm saying I don't know how much work has been done on that since we voted the budget out of committee. But I think that would be a good updated number that we could have too, because that could possibly result in millions of dollars. Could. And then my other question would be more for Ms. Barash, and not expect like a whole legal thing on it. I don't think that's fair to ask, but like, could you like, just for us at the table public, could you talk a little bit about your understanding of what the intention of the tax cap does?
The intention of it?
Yeah, like this, earlier we talked about like the spirit of the legislation, so like, can you talk a little bit about that, the spirit of legislation around the tax cap itself?
Okay, I can, you mean at the next meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
Or if I may ask, can you email that to us if you have it, rather than the next meeting, so that for time?
Yeah, I can
For the
see
time of-
if there's legislative history there, and I'll send that to you if I can find it.
Yeah.
Well, might I be able to address it?
Certainly.
It was, Governor Cuomo put that forward to put pressure on local governments to minimize the rise in local property taxes.
Yeah.
So it was designed to be really at or near inflation.
Which was 2%, right? At the time the legislation passed, it was 2%.
Yes, even though that is the number they reference, even though when you actually do the calculations, it can vary a little bit above or below that depending on the specifics of each municipality.
Sure, right. So if you want to look at any history around that, if any cases with, that deal with that, I think that'd be helpful information for us.
Okay, so you're looking, so legislative history is different, so that would be like drafts and things that the legislators relied on in passing it?
Well,
And then cases would be how it's interpreted by the
certainly, like
courts?
how, I know you pulled some case law around the budget. I was asking if you could pull any case law around a budget dealing with tax cap or any maybe relevant case law, maybe like to your point, like where it's not apples to apples, but that information would be good information for us to consider.
Okay, I'll look for both those things.
Thank you.
Just a reference, the mayor was on point there because he talked about the reason why it was passed, the intent it was passed is to keep costs down and avoid passing the burden on taxpayers, because that was the intended for this legislation. Keep costs down,
So
keep taxes down.
I didn't want to be too presumptuous.
I understand you wanted more,
No, what I'm saying is I didn't want to be presumptuous, and if that is the case, then that obviously factors in.
It was one of the many reasons that it was passed during that time.
Yep.
To help taxpayers. Go ahead, please.
Just restating the obvious, the proposed budget was conditional. And that is a huge factor to your point, Mr. Burbank, because if we had to pass the budget, we would have already. If we're legally required, we would not be having a discussion at all. And I think what we identified is that there are existential circumstances right now that make this situation different. I still contend that if the proposed budget had conditions, did we receive a passable budget at the onset? But at this current juncture, there considerably is more energy invested in forcing the council's hand as opposed to working with us. I think that is what can be missed and understated. So I would say at this point, unless there's new information to be reviewed and considered, and I was very much hoping that conversations with you and the mayor would be productive, it appears as though those haven't, if even taking place, but that is my speculation. At this current juncture, Ms. Porterfield has identified some additional areas of movement, which I'm more than willing to consider. But what I'm not willing to be on board with is having another extended dialogue going circularly about what we have to do and then what the mayor's office has to do. Essentially, we're at this point because there's a huge tax consideration to the city, which I do not understate. I know the mayor is considering that. It is our responsibility, though, to review those in kind and have a collective conversation, but that hasn't happened. So I think until that has happened, we're doing a disservice to the community, sincerely. So I think unless there's new information, and I've only heard that from one individual, we hear that, there's been a request for information from the city hall, having that, we don't have that now, so I imagine this conversation will need to be recessed, but until we get that, we're at a standstill. But sincerely, there's a lot of angst and worry from the community to not just include the employees, but also the tax base of what is going to happen January 1. And that is something that is to be considered by the council as it currently stands and the incoming council. And I believe this is very unfair to levy this on them coming into their new terms. We have to figure this out now. We have to do it together. And that hasn't happened.
Just to clarify, yes, me and I did exchange some texts, and I did identify in detail to the mayor my position as to why I was advocating for an increase in revenue, to justify my position. And I did ask the mayor, we should talk, and we should talk more, because my position is clear as to why I was asking for those increase. And it's detailed in my text to the mayor. So yes, I just to add to your point, yes, conversation is there, text is happening. I think, do we need to have more conversation? Absolutely, yes. But conversation is not one way, it's two ways. Go ahead.
No, just listening.
So based on that, Ms. Williams, you're waiting for information in terms of...
Yeah. I mean, I'll forward it. I can have Ms. Mike forward.
Can you send us those emails so we have them back in
I'll have Ms. Mike forward them.
all the many emails that we're getting every day?
I will.
And we can follow up and make sure that we have this. So based on what I'm hearing is that we will have to set some other meetings again?
It appears so. And, I highlighted a couple of things, like we had a huge waste increase by like 30. So these large increases are areas that I think we should be looking at. The total waste increase was by 30%, over 30.12%. So I think we need to look at where we're seeing these large increases. And quite frankly, there's some decreases in waste, but most of the larger increases are in waste. And we did get the analysis, which we knew had to be changed, and then, but the deficit went from 192 to 26,000. So I think we just need to take a look at the, what's included there.
Ms. Patrick, you had a comment?
Well, I was just wondering, I mean, what are we going to do with the information that Ms. Barash just presented? Are we ignoring the case law that she just presented? Because I guess I read that today thinking, okay, it's sort of a done deal.
No, another opinion was asked in terms of another opinion was asked for Ms. Barash to look at
For
in
the
terms of the tax cap.
It's also if the council and the mayor have further discussions and choose to come to a resolution on consent, you know, this, just like any settlement, could be waived.
Well, this is going to bring us back, I repeat that a couple times, 2023, we had 3 budgets, 2 vetoes. Finally, on the 3rd attempt, the mayor agreed with us. So
I hate
at that
that
time,
you
we were way beyond. We were way beyond the 30 days. If we're quoting 30 days now, then that budget was no good then. I mean, 3 attempts, and finally the mayor, we all came to a consensus, and now it was majority of us, and we were able to get a budget in. I think, we need to do the same thing this year. I mean, I don't know why is it that, I don't know, why is it so difficult? Go ahead, please.
Yes, this is a question for Ms. Barash, and I just want to be clear. Were you saying at some point during your discussion and explanation that we, the council, should be asking outside counsel about this? Did you refer to outside counsel in that way?
I'm saying that worst case scenario, that no resolution is reached before the end of the year, I assume someone's, either the council's going to sue the mayor or the mayor's going to sue the council, and you're going to wind up in court, and the corporation counsel's office would not be able to represent. You'd have to each have your own outside counsel. So I'm saying worst case scenario, that's where you're going to wind up in court, and then in court they're going to look at relevant law and cases.
Okay. Would you recommend that we look at outside counsel who was expert in municipal law prior to that, so we don't get to that point?
Well, you have a corporation counsel, so I've given you a legal opinion.
Right.
You don't have to follow it, but that's the legal opinion. Again, what I just said is if you have further discussions and you can come to a middle ground, the city council and the mayor, basically that would be the mayor consenting to waiving the right to have his budget passed. So, I mean, in the past, you have had elongated discussions, but that would have been, in my view, on consent, because this case has been around for a long time. So, again, do what you want with my recommendations, but that's the worst case scenario is, there's got to be a budget, I would think.
Well, I bring that up because I know that when we have other cases where you call it outside counsel because they're specialized in specific area. So that's why I was raising that question. Is that a place that we would need to go? So I understand you're a corporation counsel. I get that, but I know that you do kind of like everything that we need done. And would it be beneficial to us to make sure if us being the council moving forward properly, that we have outside counsel to take a look at all that's going on? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Would you recommend that? Is something that would make sense to you?
I mean, I don't recommend that. Time is passing. That would take time. And it's like, intellectual minds can come to different conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can hire an attorney to tell you something different, but it's not going to change that a budget there eventually has to be a budget.
Clear.
The court has, again, in my opinion, the highest court in the state has seen this issue come up, and this is what they compelled the council to pass the budget as was presented. 30 days, a veto, very, very similar circumstance. So is there some differences? There is. There was not the tax cap.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. On consent, if the mayor would like to engage in further discussions, you can do that. And perhaps there will be a middle ground found, but eventually, if not, my assumption is you'll wind up in court, and this case is there, so I'm letting you know so that you know what you're looking at.
Mr. Williams?
I would say based on the continued dialogue, I would be open to considering outside counsel for a second opinion.
And we would pay for that out of pocket, right? We can't pay for that out of the city. We would each have to
No.
hire them?
No, it would.
Why would we spend city money on a council representing the city council?
Same reason that we get outside counsel for other
I think
cases
we'd
where
have
we
to pay
can't.
for it. I mean, that doesn't
We
seem
have to,
right.
the city has to pay for it, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
not
No,
we,
I-
the council.
Why would-
We're agents of the city. We don't have to pay for that. No, you took it out.
Not that.
That's pay your money.
25 budget?
Yeah, we did have some.
I think we took it out.
Took it out. So it
Oh,
wasn't-
well, it's still 25, so it's still there, so we have it for this year.
You're going to use city money. Okay, I don't know.
It's what we do now.
For that.
When we need outside
But we do
counsel.
it when we have to have something like around an issue that's, not because of something in terms of the city council. Hiring outside counsel for itself doesn't seem right to me in terms of using tax dollars.
Mr. Mayor, but I would say
City
that,
dollars.
not to cut you off, the language that we are discussing at the time of a city council going to court with the mayor of the city, that is a precedence that I do not think any municipality wants to undergo. So I think at this current juncture, we've had an opinion. I'm saying in my review, and it seems to hold true with some other council members, that doesn't sit logically with us, and I'm speaking only for myself, with me, wanting to get a second opinion would alleviate the city of having to consider a 17% tax increase across the board. But if we are, as Ms. Barash is saying, compelled to act in good favor to pass the mayor's budget, then we have to do that.
That's what I agree with you.
But that is not what she's saying. She's saying, according to the case law that she's reviewed, she's suggesting that we do that. And we're saying that that case is different than this current circumstance.
Yes, absolutely. That's why I tried to clarify with Mr. Rand.
If what I'm understanding what Corporation Council is saying, then essentially what could happen would be that the mayor could present a budget, we could deliberate around changes, present changes, pass the budget out of committee, pass the budget, the mayor could veto the budget, and could essentially run out the clock, and then it would go default back to the mayor's original budget. And that's essentially what's being presented to us right now, is that we have 30 days to present a budget that the mayor agrees with, because if the mayor doesn't agree with it, then he could veto the budget, and then by default, it will go back to his proposed budget.
Well, if the council overrides the veto, it goes to the council's budget.
But essentially, it seems like we're talking again about kind of running out the clock. There's these threats of court and all of the things. But if there's we're looking at piercing this tax cap and a pretty substantial tax increase to the people of the city of Schenectady, then I think that we should be making sure that we're doing our due diligence, to Mr. Williams' point, and making sure that we are, exhausting all the resources that we can in order to make sure that we're acting within our appropriate parameters to ensure that we don't have to pass this staggering tax increase for the people of the city of Schenectady. So I'm in support of your suggestion, Mr. Williams.
Yeah, go ahead.
Again, in 23, when we couldn't come to an agreement, we're up to the end, and then I said I was going to sue the council. Using this case as one of the reference points, and believe could have been implemented the original budget that I put forth. We worked some compromises at the end to try and make everybody look good. We also at that time made a commitment to the people that we would put forth a resolution to change the charter and the laws so that it would clear up these scenarios. You didn't want one scenario to go forth and propose anything else, You wanted a charter commission, which is far more encompassing and more complex. But it brings us here again today, and what I would suggest is that you and I talk again tomorrow and see if there isn't some scenario where, again, I can't in good faith support the budget that you've put forth because I believe some of those revenue estimates are unattainable. And in that, there's been no scenario of looking, because I've got to look to settle that contract with Local 28 of the firefighters, which has a significant impact on the budget, both, just because it's open in 25, and then what the impact is going to be in 26. And then in the 26 proposed budget, I have not put any number forward in terms of 1037, which is also a bottom line impact on the budget. So there's big numbers there. And anybody that thinks that I put forth a proposed tax increase without thought behind it, and if there were other options out there that I wouldn't have taken them, it's just incorrect in your analysis. It's unfortunate. It's, we went basically a decade without any tax increases, some years tax decreases, and now everything is kind of broken against us in this 1 year. The ARPA money is gone, inflation is up, so overall expenses, and it's the situation that we're in today. The other option is to make substantial cuts in terms of staffing to bring those revenue, those expenses in line with the revenue.
But Mayor, I'm glad that you're making it public that we should talk. That my last text to you a week ago, we can talk. Despite I was out sick, we could have talked, and I'm glad that I will make some time tomorrow.
And I didn't want to talk because you said you were viral infection.
It wasn't a good phone. So we can continue our conversation tomorrow. I will make that call. I will make time so we can continue the conversation, and I can share the information to the rest of the council members. And we need to work. We need to work together. We need to work together to come to a budget. Let's compromise a little. Let's avoid this court thing. Let's avoid this and all the drama behind, and let's work together on this. What we're doing here is to benefit the people of Schenectady. It's not benefit any one of us in terms of personal, fee. It's about the people of the city of Schenectady. Some of us are strong that we should raise some more taxes. Then, what is the best compromise for us to move forward? Let's not dig our heels in the sand and say, well, I'm not going to move from here. We're going to continue this conversation tomorrow. We're going to come back. I'm going to relay information to my colleagues, and we're going to make something happen. Please, we have done it in the past, and we can do it again.
Can I suggest that we should set up at least one other meeting if we're
Yes.
going, like now, because I don't know about everybody else, but
Yes.
there's a lot of stuff.
I know
going on,
Fridays
so-
are not good. We have to tell you, it's going to No, still out of hours. Fridays are not good for Mr. Toll.
Fridays create issues with staff.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I usually head north.
do we have the time to schedule something for Thursday? Is my colleagues are available Thursday?
My phone died.
Do we have the time, the 3 days notice?
Ms. Barash, if he reconvenes the
You
meeting, do
can
we need a
recess
special?
this.
Recess.
You don't have to do
yeah.
anything to.
Yeah,
we'll have to do
We
anything.
can recess this meeting and we can meet.
Oh, I can meet.
You can meet any day.
Thursday's good?
At like 5:30, I mean?
Thursday,
December 4th. It's
Thursday,
December
Thursday.
4th. In case
Thursday,
anybody-
5:30?
I can't believe I actually have a free night.
Can I just ask, it's obvious that, the budget
December
stayed
4th.
below the tax cap. The mayor's budget is above the tax cap. What do we need to do? Because obviously, we're not going to be
Maybe
able
we
to
should-
stay under the tax cap.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if we can meet on a
Because we're
common
there
ground.
now and there's no rate.
If we can meet at a common ground, I can relay that message. And if we were to say, if it's 17% now and it's end up at 7%, I'm just using numbers, I'm not saying that we end up there.
I'm just,
Then we're going to come to an agreement and say, you know what, this is the best way we can move forward with and come up with a compromise. And then we can say, you know what, we will need, because of the compromise, because we can see common grounds,
We're trying.
we can able to move forward, we'll have to pass the budget, we'll have to pass that. I'm just making a suggestion how we move forward. But that doesn't mean that is my suggestion, how we do things to compromise.
I think we need, I'd like to know, in other words, we know, like, I think that it was the finance commissioner before he went out on paternity leave. I think that it was something like $5 or $6 million that we would have to trim from this budget in order to get down under the tax cap. So I think we need to see.
And that's without settling those outstanding.
Right. So I think we need a sheet that shows the outstanding contracts, and that would
No, we-
probably be in executive session.
Yes,
in terms of
we
we can't
those
talk about
numbers
that
has to be-
public. I
yes,
know, I
please.
understand that, but just hear me out.
Yes.
We need a few options because, for example, if we were going to have, 10% instead of 17% tax increase, how much do we need to cut from staff, et cetera? If we were going to go trying for a 7% tax increase instead of a 17% tax increase, how much will we have to cut down, which probably is going to be layoffs because, we've already, we know how bare bones the budget is as presented. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that would help us, I think, to have a
And
chart.
that's what I'm saying, if we
When we come
have
back
the dialogue
together
tomorrow,
on
we can able to say, you know what, where the position stand, I will relay that message back out. So that, to each and every one of you, where your position is, and I have a conversation, this is the main position on certain things. What do you feel about it? And we'll get back in dialogue. And when we meet on Thursday,
It'd be good to have that
We-
information so that we
and,
can have a guide on how much we're going to have to cut.
we're gonna have a budget, please. We're gonna have a budget.
Well, we have to have a budget because
Yes.
otherwise people won't
We're
get paid.
gonna have to
as
have
of
a budget,
January 1st.
what's it, before
Staff.
the 15th? Because that's when the tax bill goes out around that time, 21st.
Well, that's the other thing.
So we need to make sure that we have it around that before the 15th. So that's my push. And I will make time ahead
Okay.
to meet and have that. If it's over the phone or in person, I'll be there. So we'll recess this meeting until Thursday, this Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Is that good for everybody, or 5?
I can do 5, but
Yes, I can do 5. I just wanted to
Mr. Williams, you go to 5 or you get off of
I-
5? Just before you proceed? I'll make sure everybody does. So go ahead.
Well, I just want to point out that we were able to make some movements, just so everything's not like we weren't able to come anywhere. We were able to, by the money identified that was outstanding in terms of CDBG that wasn't used, we were able to reduce the amount of money that we're going to bond going into 2026. So I think that was a step in the right direction. Yes, Ms. Patrick, that happened on the capital projects. And
in our operating budget.
Yeah. So I think that we just have to recognize that if we take a deep dive, a hard look, we're able to make those, to get some places. We just have to be willing to take that look and everybody be able to make some movement. And overall, we should keep in mind the residents, and we can't put some heavy tax increase on them. It could cost, it's just going to be a snowball effect in terms of homelessness, etc. All the things we talk about all the time, how it's going to impact people. So I know it's a lot, but we have to think of every impact that whatever decision we make around this budget is going to do to the residents of Schenectady. So I thank you very much, Mr. Rivera.
Any other business before finance? I ask a motion that we recess until this Thursday, 5 p.m.
so
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening.
It's all about you. Gotta sit in first.
What were you guys?
Me too now, but I think I want to eat real quick.
See this?